Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. In Konoha, Ashura Chakra is dropped at the beginning. Chapter 41. For the next few days, Yagayu stayed indoors and asked his shadow clone to buy ingredients. I stayed in the house all day, not knowing what I was doing. In the past few days, a large number of new faces have appeared in Konoha Central Street. They are all genin from other countries, specially coming to Konoha to participate in the Chunin examination. After arriving in Konoha, these ninjas were not idle and used various methods to collect information on the genin of Konoha. As the chief student of Konoha's 60th class, Yagayu naturally became their target. Whether it was his main body staying at home or his shadow clone going out to buy groceries, Yagayu noticed a lot of prying eyes. However, seeing that they were not bold enough to sneak into the house, Yagayu ignored them. During this period of time, the three Ino girls did not come to see Yagayu. It was obvious that they were all preparing for the upcoming Chunin exams. Sakura is a little better. Ino and Hinata, the heirs of the ninja clan, have been receiving guidance from their fathers during this period and are working hard to practice the family secrets. As the heirs of a clan, it would be a shame if they were eliminated too early. This is a major matter related to family honor. Fortunately for Ino, Yamanaka Haichi is not that strict. As the last wealthy family in Konoha, Hinata is definitely having a hard time these days. July 1st, 10:50 a.m. Yagayu, who had been a homebody for several days, finally walked out of the house. Arriving at the old place where Class 8 gathered, Yagayu saw Hinata, who had already arrived from a distance. At this time, Hinata had her hands in the pockets of her white windbreaker, with a serious look on her face, as if she was wary of her surroundings. Click. Yagayu didn't immediately go over to say hello to Hinata. Instead, he put his hand inside the black windbreaker. In fact, he opened the space backpack, took out the film camera inside, and took a picture of Hinata's current appearance. The sound of taking pictures reached her ears, and Hinata's sharp gaze immediately came to her. When she saw it was Yagayu, her imposing appearance immediately became weak at a speed visible to the naked eye. With a blush on her cheeks, Hinata lowered her head almost subconsciously, took her hands out of her pockets, and twirled her fingers in front of her chest, which was already very obvious, and she was definitely the most outstanding person among her peers. Click. This appearance not only did not make Yagayu restrained, but he kept pressing the shutter to take photos of Hinata's entire transformation process. If time hadn't allowed, Yagayu would have wanted to go home and develop the photos. After taking the photo, Yagayu put away the camera, came to Hinata, gave a thumbs up and praised, "Hinata, you looked very handsome just now, and your aura is completely different from usual. It seems that you have been in trouble these days. It's grown a lot." "Yagayu-kun, you're flattered." Hinata lowered her head and said in a voice like a mosquito. But her heart was as sweet as honey. "Be confident and don't keep your head down." Yagayu patted Hinata's shoulder and said with a smile, "I like the way you looked just now better." Hinata responded, then raised her head. However, she still didn't dare to meet Lu Sheng's eyes, she just squinted around him evasively, and the blush on her cheeks became even thicker. What's even cuter is that even Hinata herself didn't notice. She kept tapping her index fingers with both hands on her chest. The frequency was so high that her nervousness was completely exposed. If he hadn't known that the girl's threshold had reached its limit, Yagayu would have wanted to take out his camera again and take a picture of this scene. The slightly ambiguous atmosphere was quickly destroyed. "Sorry, I'm late." Aburame Shino's voice reached their ears, startling both Yagayu and Hinata. Looking at Aburame Shino, who appeared next to him at some point, with his hands in his pockets in a cool pose, Yagayu asked, "Shino, when did you come? It's inconvenient to disturb you while you're taking secret photos of Hinata." Aburame Shino said calmly. In an instant, Hinata's already red cheeks turned red, and white mist began to appear in her head. Ahem. Seeing Hinata, he was about to faint from shame. Yagayu coughed quickly and changed the subject. "Now that we are all here, let's go to the ninja school. Have you filled out the application form and brought it with you?" "Everything is ready." "Me too." Aburame Shino and Hinata nodded. Yagayu grinned and said, "Then let's meet our seniors and other genin from the ninja village." So, Class 8 sets out for the ninja school. Along the way, they saw many genin from other ninja villages. Those genin looked at them with extremely fierce eyes, as if they wanted to use their eyes to intimidate teammate. However, Yagayu just glanced at them lightly, and the expressions of these hostile genin immediately became dazed. After a while, they came to their senses, and then broke into a cold sweat. Illusion, illusion, how did I fall into the illusion? Then, who is that guy? Remember that guy's appearance and run away immediately when you encounter him during the exam. Yagayu didn't know the reaction of these people. He simply taught those guys a lesson and let them know whose home field this was. They dared to be so arrogant when they came to the ninja village of an enemy country. Those who didn't know better thought they were the ninjas of the great ninja village. Entering the ninja school, Class 8 followed Yuhi Kurenai's instructions and first went to the complex building to find the registration point for submitting applications. When they arrived at the staircase, the three Yagayu saw a sign that said the registration point for submitting applications was on the 3rd floor. However, just as they reached the 2nd floor, the expressions of the three Yagayu suddenly changed slightly. After looking at each other, the three of them raised their index and middle fingers to disrupt the flow of chakra in their bodies and disperse the yin-dun chakra that had just invaded their bodies. The three Yagayu saw a large number of genin on the 2nd floor, and they were all looking for the registration point. The three Yagayu, whose teacher was an expert in illusion, saw at a glance that they were under an illusion, and subconsciously thought that the 2nd floor was the 3rd floor. At the staircase connecting to the 3rd floor, there was also a sign for the 3rd floor, and there were two chunins in green vests, watching the jokes of the candidates. These two chunins were the two great gate gods of Konoha, Izumo Kanzuki and Tetsu Koko. The three Yagayu ignored the group of people and walked directly to the staircase guarded by the two chunins. Looking at the three Yagayu who came over, Shenyu Izumo and Gangziti were slightly surprised, and after seeing Hinata's eyes, they were slightly surprised. No wonder the Hyuga clan's white eyes can break the magic and not the art here. But this kind of cheating will not be recognized by them. Just when Shenyu Izumo and Gangziti met each other and smiled tacitly, they were about to give the younger generation a show of strength. Turning to look at the Yagayu, they suddenly became dazed, just like the low-level ninjas on the road. When they came to their senses, the three Yagayu had disappeared. Izumo, did you notice it just now? Gangziti asked. Shenyu Izumo shook his head and asked, no, what about you? Me neither, Gangziti said with horror. No sound, which means it's not an auditory illusion. No smell, which means it's not an olfactory illusion. He doesn't even have a seal. Shenyu Izumo suddenly laughed. He doesn't have those characteristics of the ninja clan, but he can make us fall into an illusion with just one look. This Chunin exam is going to be interesting. He is a genin from Konoha. He is so good at illusion at such a young age. Maybe he will be an illusion expert in Konoha in the future. Gangziti also laughed. I'm really looking forward to the next genin. Will there be any geniuses who will surprise us? Arriving at the registration location on the 3rd floor, Class 8 submitted the application form to the person in charge, and then obtained the location and seat number of the test room from them. After walking out of the complex building, Yagayu and the other three came to the teaching building. Along the way, Yagayu didn't see Class 7 or Class 10, or even Matt Kaiban. I don't know if they came early or late. When they arrived at the door of the test room, Yagayu and the other three saw a familiar figure. It was Yuhi Hong. Beside her were Asuma Sarutobi and Kakashi Hitaki. Teacher Hong. The three of them immediately stepped forward and said hello to Yuhi Hong. The teacher is very happy to see the three of you together. Kurenai Yuhi stood up slowly and smiled happily. Actually, there is another rule for the Chunin exam. That is, unless there are casualties or shortages of members in a team, all members must register before they can participate. You participating together shows that you are not willing to abandon your companions. The teacher has seen your bond. Whether you pass this exam or not, the teacher will take you to perform advanced tasks in the future. After finishing speaking, Yuhi Hong patted Yagayu on the shoulder and introduced Hitaki Kakashi and Sarutobi Asuma to Class 8. These two are both classmates of the teacher and are also Konoha's elite Junin. You have all seen this bearded man. His name is Sarutobi Asuma. You can also call him Asuma-sensei. This man wearing a mask is Konoha's copy ninja, Hitaki Kakashi. He is the instructing Jonin of Class 7. You can call him Kakashi-sensei. Asuma-sensei, Kakashi-sensei. The three of them also greeted the two of them very politely. Hello. Sarutobi Asuma smiled and said, Ino has always mentioned you in front of me. She must miss you very much. Our two teams can get together more often in the future. With the last words, Sarutobi Asuma looked at Yuhi Kurenai, his little thoughts still very obvious. Hearing Ino's name, the corners of Yagayu and Hinata's mouths also raised slightly, and they could already imagine Ino's expressions when talking about them. Hitaki Kakashi also put down the intimacy paradise in his hand, looked at Yagayu, who was much taller than Hinata and Aburame Shino, and almost as tall as Yuhi Kurenai, and said with interest, "Is this the chief student? In terms of field performance, it is indeed not comparable to our team's second place. But be careful, our team's second place player has grown quite a lot during this period." In response to this, Kurenai Yuhi said proudly, even if the Uchiha over there has awakened the Sharingan, he cannot be Yagayu's opponent. Just wait and see, Kakashi, Asuma, my students will surprise you. Oh, hearing this, Hitaki Kakashi and Sarutobi Asuma's eyes suddenly looked a little surprised. So confident, could it be that this chief student still has some hidden cards? Teacher Hong, let's go in first. Looking at Kurenai Yuhi, who showed off her face, Yagayu couldn't help but say, well, let's go in and work hard for the exam. Yuhi Hong smiled and nodded. After nodding politely to Hitaki Kakashi and Sarutobi Asuma, Yagayu led Hinata and Aburame Shino to open the door of the test room. In an instant, the atmosphere changed suddenly. First, the noisy sound like a vegetable market reached their ears, and then the eyes full of hostility or murderous intent came like a wave, making the bodies of Aburame Shino and Hinata tense subconsciously. This was instinctive, early warning response. What a disrespectful bunch. Yagayu frowned slightly, and then glanced at the guys who were staring at them fiercely. In the Sharingan under the colored lenses, the three black Magatama were spinning slightly. The next second, the expressions of those who looked at Lu Sheng changed in shock. Bang bang bang. These people seemed to have seen some terrible scene, and their faces became extremely pale one by one. Some guys who looked fierce but were actually fragile inside were so frightened that they collapsed on the ground. Some guys screamed hoarsely, "No! Don't kill me!" The entire test room suddenly fell into chaos. But soon, the chaos subsided. I'm not dead. Great, I'm not dead. Those who returned to reality from the illusion space suddenly shouted in ecstasy when they found out that they were fine. What's more, tears of joy were shed. They didn't notice at all that their miserable appearance was noticed by others. When they reacted and saw the eyes of the people around them, they all became quiet again, so embarrassed that they wished they could just dig a hole in place and get in. However, the people around them did not laugh at them. I saw these people looking at Yagayu below with fearful eyes. Some guys who were lucky enough not to be hit couldn't help but swallow their saliva, with fear on their faces. Group illusion, who is this guy? I saw my own death just now. The teacher once performed such an illusion on me. It was AB level Narukumi no Jutsu. Can this guy cast such an advanced illusion without forming seals? And it was also a group illusion. I know him. He is the top student in Konoha. The orphan of the Uchiha clan is in the same class as him. He has never been his opponent. If we encounter him in the next exam, we will run away immediately. Quote. Under Yagayu's shock, the entire test room suddenly became extremely quiet, with only the sound of whispers. Squeak. Just then, the door of the test room was pushed open again. Then, a familiar voice came into the ears of Yagayu and Hinata. Ah, Yagayu, Hinata, long time no see. Yagayu only felt a heavy force on his back, and the strong impact made his body lean forward slightly. A pair of hands wrapped around his neck from behind, and the whole person hung on his back. Only one person dared to do such a bold behavior. Long time no see, Ino. Yagayu skillfully untied Ino's arms and slowly put Ino down. Looking at Ino, who had tied her long golden hair into a high ponytail and her bangs almost covered one of her eyes, Yagayu said in surprise, I haven't seen you for a few months. Ino, have you grown taller? Hehe, did you notice it? Ino made a gesture of pointing to the universe, and said with a smile, I have grown 3 centimeters taller in the past few months. After that, Ino was going to find Hinata, the tallest of the 3 girls, to compare. But the next second, Ino's mouth opened slightly, her body froze in place, and the color changed from colorful to petrified. Her eyes were fixed on Hinata's chest. Yagayu, long time no see. At this time, the girl's surprised voice came into Yagayu's ears again. Looking in the direction of the voice, a girl wearing a red cheongsam and long pink hair was trotting towards him. Behind her, there was a blonde and a black-haired boy, who were Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke. Long time no see, Sakura. Yagayu raised his hand to respond. The lady Sakura couldn't do something as bold as Ino. After seeing Yagayu respond to her, Sakura's smile became brighter, and then she was about to greet her two besties, Ino, Hinata, hello. The voice suddenly stopped, Sakura's mouth opened slightly, and her eyes were fixed on Hinata's chest. What the hell is this? Obviously 3 months ago, it wasn't so exaggerated. Then, Sakura looked down at her conscience, which could not only see her toes but also felt no weight at all. Her whole body turned into a petrified color, and even cracks appeared. That was the sound of a broken heart. Hinata, can you talk to me for a minute? Ino came back to her senses and immediately pulled Hinata, who was frightened by their gaze, aside, whispering about something. Sakura also hurried over. Looking at the 3 girls who were communicating, Yagayu glanced at the test room again and soon found the girl with a bun who was also looking at them. The 4 golden flowers of Konoha finally gathered for the first time. Long time no see, Yagayu. While the 3 Ino girls were chatting nearby, Nara Shikamaru, who walked in with his hands on the back of his head, also said hello to Yagayu. Looking at the candidates who were looking at them with fear on their faces, and many of them with tears and fear on their faces, Nara Shikamaru instantly understood what happened. It seems that you taught them a terrible lesson. Well, long time no see, Shikamaru, Choji. Yagayu smiled and said, I'm just reminding them whose home field this is. After finishing speaking, Yagayu also greeted Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke who came over. Long time no see, Naruto, Sasuke. Seeing that Yagayu didn't ignore him, Naruto suddenly became happy. Just when he raised his hand to respond, Uchiha Sasuke next to him suddenly walked up to Yagayu, looked up at Yagayu who was more than 10 centimeters taller than him, and said with a proud and provocative expression, I saw you coming to participate in the middle school. I'm relieved to take the ninja exam. This time, I will let you see the power of the Uchiha clan. Judging from your appearance, you must have awakened the blood inheritance limit of the Uchiha clan. Yagayu smiled gently and said, I'm also curious about the power of the Sharingan. I hope we can meet in the next exam. You'll see. At this moment, Uchiha Sasuke seemed to have returned to his 5th grade appearance. Ever since he lost to Yagayu in a no-rules duel in the 5th grade, this proud genius has been silent for a whole year. At that time, he no longer expected to win against the monster Yagayu in terms of basics. But now, Uchiha Sasuke faintly doesn't take Yagayu seriously. After being able to open the Sharingan on his own and both eyes turned into double Magatama Sharingan, Uchiha Sasuke realized the difference between those with the blood successor limit and those without the blood successor limit. Yagayu is just a civilian. If he still only knows a few moves, then he is no longer worthy of being his opponent. Even so, Uchiha Sasuke still wanted to fight Yagayu. He wanted to find the dignity he had lost in those years with this guy. Yagayu didn't know what Uchiha Sasuke was thinking, otherwise he would have thought of 3 words, Harutsuke. The sky cleared up and the rain stopped, and Urzuzi felt that he was doing well again. Looking at the confident Uchiha Sasuke, Yagayu didn't hit him. It's better to be more confident, so that you will continue to challenge him, and the chance of Yagayu exploding Indra's chakra will be greater. Don't disturb others here. Let's find our seats first. Hearing Yagayu's voice, the 3 Ino girls who were still whispering at the side came over immediately. Immediately, the 3 teams started looking for their seats. Because Yagayu shocked the audience, the gathering of the 3 teams did not cause public outrage, and Kabuto Yakushi could not find a reason to participate and show off his superb acting skills. Along the way, the candidates caught by Yagayu's gaze lowered their heads one after another, not daring to look directly into each other's eyes. Only a few genin who had not been hit just now and who were very confident in their own strength looked at Yagayu without fear, their eyes full of fighting spirit. Soon, Yagayu found his seat. But when he saw his deskmate, a hint of surprise flashed in his eyes. As soon as he sat down, a suppressed excited voice came from Yagayu's ears, "What's your name?" Glancing sideways at the young man with a gourd on his back and dark circles under his eyes, Yagayu smiled knowingly and asked, "My name is Yagayu, what's yours?" "My name is Gaara." Gaara's face was expressionless, but his excited and murderous tone seemed to be ferocious when he said, "You are very strong, and you are an opponent worth killing. I smell a strong smell of sand on your body. Your face and body are both armor made of sand, right?" Yagayu said with some yin and yang, as expected of a ninja from the Kingdom of Wind, he really knows how to play with sand, ah. Gaara's face remained expressionless, but he was slightly startled and at the same time more excited. This guy saw through his sand armor at a glance, and he was indeed different from those people. If I could get his blood, my mother would be very happy. Thinking of this, gravity-defying sand and a terrifying aura emerged from Gaara's body. Tamari and Konkuro, who had been watching him not far away, looked panicked and wanted to get up and come over to comfort me. "Gaara." At this moment, Lu Sheng suddenly said calmly, "If you take action now, you will be disqualified from the exam." Hearing this, Gaara's momentum stagnated slightly, and then slowly calmed down. "If I meet you in the next exam, I will kill you," Gaara said expressionlessly. "You can't do it." Yagayu shook his head and said with a smile, "My attributes are just enough to restrain you, unless your strength exceeds mine by several levels." Gaara stopped talking, but in his heart, Yagayu's hunting status has surpassed Uchiha Sasuke. Bang! The sound of a balloon exploding suddenly resounded throughout the entire testing room. A huge cloud of white smoke appeared out of thin air at the podium. After the white smoke dissipated, the examiner Morino Ihiki appeared with his team of invigilators. Since there was no conflict, Morino Ihiki didn't waste any words. After explaining the rules of the exam, the first test of the Chunin exam began. When the test papers were handed out, most of the candidates looked embarrassed. Lu Sheng also frowned slightly. The questions on the test paper were not difficult for him, but they were much more profound than those in the 6th grade. Thinking about the real test of this exam, Lu Sheng was slightly enlightened. If it was not difficult, these candidates would not be forced to cheat. So, Lu Sheng picked up the pen that was distributed with the test paper and began to answer the questions. Not long after, the candidates began to show their skills and used various means to copy other people's answers. Even Gaara next to Lu Sheng used the Eye of Sand. Lu Sheng glanced at Gaara and his mouth corners slightly raised. He was very curious about what Gaara's expression under the armor of sand looked like when he saw these questions. During this period, many candidates chose to copy Lu Sheng. All their methods were recorded by Lu Sheng, but Lu Sheng did not care and let them copy. The real question of the first exam was the 10th question that had not been made public yet, which was a psychological torture for the weak. Those who could not bear that kind of psychological pressure would choose to abstain. These questions were just incidental. However, it has become a habit for Yagayu to fight for the first place. Even if he knew the true nature of this exam, Yagayu had no intention of handing in a blank paper. Moreover, Yagayu has always been playing it safe, so who knows if there will be a butterfly effect. If he doesn't answer any questions, and the butterfly effect really occurs in the end, wouldn't it be a joke? Soon, more than half an hour of the 1-hour answering time has passed. Everyone, put down your pens. With the voice of Morino Ibiki, it was finally time to reveal the 10th question. The seat number of the previous seat was missed and has been modified. I will announce the content of the 10th question next, but before announcing it, you need to make a choice. Just like the original work, Morino Ihiki gave a multiple choice question before revealing the 10th question. If you choose to answer questions, once you answer the 10th question incorrectly, you will not be able to become a Chunin for life. If you choose not to answer, it will be deemed as an automatic forfeit and the entire team will be eliminated together. As soon as this multiple choice question came out, it immediately caused a sensation in the audience. Those candidates who had finally copied the answers stood up angrily and chose to protest. However, when Morino Ihiki took off her turban, revealing her bald head, which was as scarred as her face, and the aura of a Junin, the entire audience was shocked by the captain of the torture department. The silent atmosphere provides high-pressure torture to those candidates who are fragile and not confident enough in their abilities. I abstain. It didn't take long before one candidate couldn't bear the psychological pressure and chose to give up. When he left, he was still defending himself. I am still young now. At worst, I will come back next time. I am not willing to risk my ninja career on this unknown topic. And this sentence became the last straw that broke the camel's back. One by one, the candidates who had no confidence in themselves raised their hands and abstained. The test room, which was originally packed, soon became vacant. Seeing more and more candidates abstaining from the exams, Uchiha Sasuke and Sakura, who had no confidence in Naruto, stared at the back of Naruto, who was sitting in the first row and at the same table as Hinata, for fear that the tail end of the crane would be raised. Hand. With 5 minutes left on the clock, Naruto, who was trembling all over, slowly raised his palms under the slightly changed gazes of Uchiha Sasuke and Sakura. Bang! The next second, this palm slammed on the table, attracting the attention of the entire audience. Don't underestimate people. I will not run away. Even if I can only be a ninja in my life, I will work hard to become Hokage. This is my ninja way. Come on. Question 10. The loud and determined words spread throughout the examination room. The candidates who were originally uneasy and hesitant to raise their hands and abstain suddenly felt refreshed. At this moment, they were all infected by Naruto's willpower, and all the fear in their eyes dissipated, replaced by firm eyes. The atmosphere in the test room changed instantly. Seeing this scene, Morino Ihiki and the proctors looked at Naruto with eyes full of disbelief. Yagyu also held his chin with one hand and looked at Naruto's back with a smile on his face. Is this mouth escape? What a powerful contagion. This is good news for Yagyu. Yagyu didn't know whether Ashura Otsutsuki's will was contained in Asura's chakra. If so, then Yagyu is now very sure that the will of Asura Otsutsuki is still in Naruto. The Ashura Chakra that Yagyu exploded was just pure energy. This means that his Ashura Chakra has no backup plan compared to the Sage of Six Paths. The level of the game system is far higher than that of Six Paths. The time is up, I announce. You have all passed the first exam. Seeing that his psychological torture was ineffective, Morino Ihiki announced without any nonsense that everyone had passed the exam. This result once again shocked the entire audience. Those candidates who had just made up their minds to risk their ninja career to challenge the 10th question were all dumbfounded. Then many people broke through their defenses and stood up to question Morino Ihiki. Then what did our efforts just mean? Even if Morino Ihiki told how the first exam was just a test of their ninja prowess, these candidates still couldn't accept it. Only Naruto, who had just used his mouth to calm down the soldiers, looked happy. Did you just pass the first exam? Even Hinata next to her looked at Naruto with a look of disbelief. As Naruto's deskmate, Hinata knew very well that Naruto didn't write a single question except his name. I can pass the exam even if I hand in a blank paper. That's amazing. Hinata decided to use this as a topic later and talk to Yagyu and Ino about it. Bang! The sound of objects breaking glass was heard, and a kunai flew in from outside. The examiner of the second exam, Enko Mitarashi, appeared in a very high-profile and exaggerated manner, which successfully diverted the attention of the candidates. Ibixi, why do you still have so many candidates left? Forget it. In the second exam anyway, I will let these guys get at least half as much. After seeing that no one was cheering, Mitarashi Enko didn't feel embarrassed. After mocking Morino, she said happily and glanced at the whole place like a hunter. After hearing her words, many candidates were shocked. Soon, Mitarashi Enko announced the time and place of the second exam. The exam starts at 1500 sharp the next day, and the location is Konoha's 44th training ground, also known as the Forest of Death. After the game ended, Ino and Sakura immediately said goodbye to their teammates and came to Yagyu's side. The enthusiastic and proactive Ino, under the envious gazes of Hinata and Sakura, held Yagyu's arm and said, "Yagyu, can I come to your house for dinner? After graduation, I haven't tasted your cooking for a long time." Of course, let's come together. Taking advantage of his absolute height advantage, Yagyu first touched Ino's head, and then smiled at the three girls. The combination of one man and three women attracted a lot of attention. Seeing Yagyu surrounded by three beautiful and cute girls, the Konoha ninjas who were a few years older than Yagyu, as well as ninjas from other countries, all looked envious and jealous. He was handsome, strong, and so many girls liked him. Which novel did this guy come from? And the female ninjas were also envious and jealous of Hinata and the other two girls. Hinata, in particular, attracted a lot of hostile eyes. Some girls even cursed in a low voice. How can she be so old at this age? She must have been stuffed. What a shameless woman. Yagayu and the others didn't know what these people thought, and they wouldn't care, they were used to it. After leaving the ninja school, the four Yagayu who hadn't been together for a few months went to the market to buy vegetables together, and then went home to cook. Like the island country in the previous life, after getting married, women almost always stayed at home as housewives and rarely went out to do tasks. For them, letting men enter the kitchen is a shame. Logically speaking, the three Hinata girls who will be good wives and mothers in the future should be the same. However, they never stopped Yagayu from entering the kitchen, and they only helped Yagayu in the kitchen. Because many of the dishes Yagayu made were completely different from those made at home, and even different from those outside. Yes, Yagayu made Chinese food. Today was no exception. After making a sumptuous meal to satisfy the taste buds of Ino and Sakura, Yagayu did not check their growth during this period, but took out poker and played cards while chatting about their experiences in the past few months. Hearing that Yagayu, Sakura and Hinata had encountered a Jonin like the seven ninja swordsmen, Ino exclaimed with a face full of fear. When they heard that Yagayu had killed a Jonin like Kuroki Raiga, Ino and Sakura cast admiring glances at him again, and their beautiful eyes seemed to be shining. Especially Sakura, who had seen the strength of Momochi Zabuza, she knew too well the gap between Genin and Jonin. The combination of Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke was only to avoid Zabuza Momochi's water clone. And Yagayu was able to kill such a being. As expected of Yagayu. The three women didn't realize that they had become blind to Yagayu's strength and excellence. Looking at the three women who were almost like him, Yagayu's heart was full of a sense of accomplishment. When the plan was realized, the only obstacle between him and the three women was age. The next day, 2:30 p.m., Yagayu went out to the old place where Team 8 gathered, and headed to the Death Forest with Aburame Shino and Hinata. On the way, Aburame Shino expressed her analysis. The 44th Training Ground, also known as the Death Forest, is one of the training sites that are prohibited from entering Konoha. It is said that it is a primitive forest with a large number of ferocious beasts and poisonous insects. After I went back yesterday, I did a little research on this training ground. The forest in this training ground is surrounded by iron fences. There are 44 entrances in total. There is a building called the Central Tower in the center. The distance between these entrances and that tower is exactly 10,000 meters, which is 10 kilometers. If nothing else, this central tower should be the endpoint of the second exam. As for the content of the exam, if it's not racing, it should be collecting certain props in the forest and then bringing them to the central tower to pass the exam. If we really throw all the candidates into the forest and let them collect mission props, then we will definitely encounter other candidates in the second exam, and even fights will break out. Hearing this, Yagayu looked at Aburame Shino in surprise. The guess is very close. He is indeed the most mysterious and reliable existence in the juvenile chapter. Therefore, Yagayu also gave a little spoiler. At the end of the exam yesterday, the examiner said that we should at least reduce our number by half. If we really collect mission props, then there should be only half of the props in the forest. This exam is very interesting. Maybe it's for us to grab props and fight. Aburame Shino nodded and said, if this is the case, then this exam will be very beneficial to us. I'll leave the perception aspect to you, Shino and Hinata. Yes. While chatting, Team 8 had arrived outside the Death Forest and quickly found the meeting point. There, the candidates were almost all here. Midori Anko was eating meatballs while instructing the team of proctors to build a shed. She didn't know what it was for. When there were still 20 minutes before the exam started and all the candidates had arrived, Anko Midori began to explain the content and rules of the exam. The second exam is a battle for the scroll. There are 2 scrolls in total, one is the Book of Heaven and the other is the Book of Earth. Each team will randomly receive a scroll, and then snatch the scrolls of other teams in the forest. They must collect the Book of Heaven and Earth and reach the central tower to pass the second exam. The exam time is 120 hours in total, which is 5 days. When Midarashi Anko was telling the rules, her tone and attitude while eating made Naruto, who had the same attributes as her, very unhappy. He couldn't help imitating and provoking, but Mitarashi Anko gave him a lesson with a bamboo stick and stayed. Not a small shadow. It was also this episode that gave Orochimaru and Anko Mitarai, master and disciple, a long-lost reunion that the master knew and the disciple did not know. There are still 10 minutes left. Come and sign the death consent form. Quote. Mitarai Anko smiled mockingly. Of course, if you are afraid of death, you can turn around and go home now. The candidates, who already knew how bad the examiner's character was, were not angry. So, each team lined up in front of the shed and signed their names on the death consent form. Then each team leader walked into a tent and received their scrolls. After getting the scroll, Class 8 followed an invigilator to one of the 44 entrances and waited for the exam to start. When the time was down to the last 10 seconds, the invigilators standing in front of the 44 entrances opened the door locks of the entrances one after another. On the radio, Mitarashi Anko's voice sounded again. The second test of the Chunin examination, begin. As Mitarai Anko's voice sounded, the candidates in front of the 44 entrances immediately rushed into the forest as ninjas, or turned into an afterimage and flew into the forest. Of course, there were also some small groups who walked in leisurely. The 3 Yagayu people are the last type. Hinata, I leave the Book of Earth to you for safekeeping. Yagayu handed the scroll to Hinata and said, use your Byakugan to find the target, but don't rush to do it yet. Let them fight for a while, or wait for them to come to the door on their own. Yes, Hinata nodded obediently. Shadow clone technique. Yagayu formed another seal with his hands, creating 3 shadow clones. As soon as the 3 shadow clones appeared, they flew away in different directions. Seeing this scene, Aburame Shino couldn't help but ask, Yagayu, are you looking for Class 7 and Class 10? Yagayu nodded and said, forgive my selfishness, Shino, I'm a little worried about them. This is a lie. The shadow clone that Yagayu created was indeed looking for Ino and Sakura, but this was just by the way. He knew very well that nothing would happen to the 2 women. What Yagayu is mainly looking for is one of the 3 ultimate licking dogs, along with Uchiha Obito and Sakura. She is an important part of Yagayu's plan, and she must be cut off before Uchiha Sasuke. Of course Aburame Shino didn't know what Yagayu was thinking. After hearing Yagayu's slightly apologetic words, he shook his head and said, it's okay. There are no rewards in this exam competition anyway. With Hinata's eyes on you, you can do whatever you want. Thanks, Shino. Yagayu couldn't help but patted Aburame Shino's shoulder. Then, the 3 Yagayu continued to walk slowly. Hinata always opened her Byakugan to observe the surroundings and reported the situation within 1 kilometer to Yagayu. During this period, many candidates at the nearby entrance also found Yagayu through the perception technique. However, when they saw that it was Yagayu, they immediately fled again, faster than when they came. The 3 Yagayu did not chase after him. Of course, there were also people who were not afraid of Yagayu. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. 3 afterimages appeared on the top of a big tree, looking at the 8th team walking slowly below, like they were camping in the wild, and they formed seals with their hands to attack them. At this time, Yagayu suddenly looked up at them. In an instant, the 3 people's eyes widened, and their figures trembled slightly, as if they were trying hard to break free of something but to no avail. This is exactly the golden binding technique. 8 trigrams empty palm. Hinata rushed out and shot 3 groups of twisted airflows in a row in the direction of the 3 people. The 3 people who were hit by the immobilization technique could only become a fixed target. They were hit by the 3 air currents and fell to the ground with blood spitting out of their mouths. Their bodies fell heavily on the ground. The 3 people who were already attacked by chakra had more serious internal injuries. However, this is not over yet. Several insects climbed onto their necks again, drilled into their bodies, and quickly devoured their chakra. In just a few seconds, they went from full blood to a dying state. If this scene was seen by the candidates who escaped, they would be very glad that they ran fast and made the right choice. Lu Sheng said speechlessly. Such an idiot didn't choose to give up in the first exam. It seems that being a fool has its advantages. Knowing that their own side has the white eyes, they still dare to attack in the dark. These 3 people reminded Lu Sheng of the Ghost Brothers. Their brains are really good. Although they are 3 idiots, they also brought good things to Team 8. Yagayu-kun, their scroll is the Book of Heaven. Hinata searched a scroll from a person, and the seal was written with the word heaven. Very good, the things are already gathered, then let's go find Ino and Sakura. Yagayu nodded with satisfaction. At the same time, the 3 shadow clones also opened their red eyes and searched for Karen's traces in the Death Forest. The Death Forest is not small. The distance between each entrance and the central tower is 10 kilometers. If you walk from east to west, it is a full 20 kilometers. This is nothing for the instant body technique, but it is a big challenge for Yagayu's red eyes. At first, Yagayu thought that Karen's location was easy to find. After all, apart from Naruto and Gaara, Karen and Orochimaru have the most chakra. There is no need to look for Karen in the red world, just find the huge chakra. Soon, Yagayu found out that he was wrong. Karen does have amazing chakra, but not now. Karen is now just a mobile blood bag of the Kusagaku village. This time she came to participate in the Chunin exam, she was just a blood bag for her teammates. Whenever her teammates were injured, they would bite her to recover. In addition, the treatment in Kusagaku village was extremely poor. Karen's current chakra amount was not in line with the physique of the Uzumaki clan. Perhaps this is why her red hair did not attract attention. After all, in addition to the Uzumaki clan, there are also many people in the ninja world with red hair. With the demise of the Uzumaki clan, people with red hair now are the least likely to be descendants of the Uzumaki clan, unless they have a huge amount of chakra in their bodies. Thinking of this, the 3 shadow clones no longer hurriedly glanced at them, but carefully observed each female ninja. More than an hour later, a shadow clone finally found Karen. So, the shadow clone turned into a ball of white smoke and disappeared. All his memories were also fed back to the main body. After determining Karen's location, Yagayu immediately took Aburame Shino and Hinata and walked in that direction. Time soon came to dusk. It's getting dark, let's continue looking tomorrow. Yagayu said to Aburame Shino and Hinata, I'll go find some food, you pick up some firewood around. After saying that, Yagayu disappeared without waiting for the 2 to speak. The figure flew through the forest. Yagayu made seals with both hands, and separated a shadow clone. After letting the shadow clone go hunting, Yagayu turned on the red-eye farsightedness and searched for Karen's location around. After a while, Yagayu left the farsighted range of Hinata's white eyes and found Karen 2 kilometers away. Coincidentally, it was getting dark now, and Karen was just driven out by her companions and ordered to find food. So, Yagayu accelerated the speed of the instant body and first came to Karen's companions. You are. Looking at Yagayu, who appeared instantly, the 2 grass ninjas recognized Yagayu instantly. Just when they widened their eyes, their faces were full of shock, and they wanted to say something. The world in front of them suddenly changed dramatically. They were still in the forest in the last second, and in the next second they appeared in the blood-red space. Above the sky, there was a pair of moon-like red eyes, with 3 black magatama in them, slowly rotating like a windmill. There were also several large black iron nails stuck in their bodies. The intense pain made them want to scream. However, they were deprived of control of their bodies and couldn't even open their mouths to scream. To avoid accidents, Yagayu directly used a combination of illusions, magical shackles plus golden binding techniques. Crack! The sound of space and neck shattering sounded together, and the consciousness of the 2 grass ninjas was completely eroded by darkness before they returned to the real world. In the outside world, after Yagayu broke the necks of the 2 grass ninjas, he put the grass ninja corpse, which was only 1.6 meters tall and less in size and weight than him, into the space backpack. Then, Yagayu came to the vicinity of Karen in an instant. At this time, Karen obviously had not yet awakened the Kagura hard eye, and was extremely timid. She didn't dare to hunt at all, and could only pick up some edible plants. If Yagayu didn't come, Karen would take these things back and might be scolded and beaten again. But starting from today, your fate has changed, Yagayu thought to himself. Then, Yagayu disappeared in an instant and found a huge black bear not far away. Yagayu directly hypnotized the black bear with the Sharingan and let it go in the direction of Karen. Yagayu didn't wait for Karen to be found by the beast before taking action, which not only wasted time, but also made it easy for Uchiha Sasuke to intercept. He wanted to personally direct the hero to save the beauty. Although this was a bit despicable, the result was definitely many times better than Karen's original work. Roar. The black bear quickly found Karen. With a roar, Karen, who was squatting on the ground picking mushrooms, was frightened and collapsed on the ground. Looking at the black bear running towards her with its bloody mouth wide open, Karen's face turned pale and she trembled all over as she tried to get up and run away, but her body refused to listen at the critical moment. Help! Help! Seeing the black bear getting closer and closer, Karen, with weak legs, suddenly shouted with all her strength, hoping that a miracle would happen. Whoosh! Maybe God heard her voice, and a miracle really happened. A harsh sound broke through the air, and a kunai shot out, accurately inserting into the black bear's head. The poor tool bear fell flat to the ground and could not get up again. Are you okay? It was extremely pleasant at this moment, like the warm sound of the morning sun, slowly reaching Shang Phosphorus's ears. Looking up in the direction of the sound, Shang Ling happened to see a tall figure descending from the sky, landing in front of her and asking her with a smile. Although the sun is now setting in the west, dusk has been swallowed up by night. But in Shang Ling's eyes, Yagayu at this time was more dazzling than the sun, and his whole body was exuding golden light. That handsome appearance, gentle smile, and tall and straight figure. At this moment, Shang Phosphorus seemed to have found the prototype of the hero and Prince Charming in novels and dramas, just like finding the object of fantasy in a dream. Gradually, Shang Phosphorus's eyes became crazy. Quote. Looking at Shang Ling, who was just looking at him dreamily, Yagayu couldn't help but tilted his head. I don't use illusions either. Why are you so stupid? So, Yagayu bent down and waved his palm in front of Shang Ling, and asked again, are you okay? Shang Lu's consciousness was finally brought back to his senses. But when she saw the handsome face so close, her breath stagnated again, her cheeks quickly turned red, she quickly lowered her head, clasped her little hands and said, I'm fine. Tick-tock. A drop of bright red liquid suddenly fell on the back of Shang Lu's hand. Seeing this scene, Yagayu Sheng was immediately shocked. You have a nosebleed and you still say it's okay. Buzz. Yagayu's words instantly made the girl feel like boiling water, white mist rising from her head. The girl, who had not yet recovered from the fright, suddenly saw blackness in her eyes, and then she fell to the ground. Karen didn't know how long she had been unconscious. When she woke up, it was completely dark. However, the forest at night was not cold, because there were waves of warmth next to her. She looked sideways and saw a fire burning next to her, with sizzling barbecue on it. Are you awake? A gentle voice came into her ears, and a hand was turning the barbecue on it. Looking along the palm of her hand, a handsome face that had appeared in her dream just now immediately caught Karen's eyes, and told her that this was not a dream. After remembering how she fainted, Karen's little face turned red again, but fortunately it was not conspicuous under the flames. Then, Karen hurriedly got up and bowed to Yagayu, saying, "Thank you for saving me." Before she finished speaking, Karen's eyes went black again, and her body was swaying and about to fall to the fire. Yagayu grabbed Karen's little hand in time and pulled her into his arms. Holding the girl with a figure similar to Sakura, Yagayu had no intention of taking advantage of her. He quickly put her aside and said, "You are too weak. Don't get too emotional. Thank you when you get better." After that, Yagayu handed a skewer of barbecue to Karen. "Eat something first." Quote. Thank you. Karen took the barbecue and thanked Hinata in a whisper. Her head was still buzzing. This person smells so good. Well, it smells better than barbecue, Karen said secretly while eating. Of course Yagayu didn't know what Karen was thinking, otherwise he would have frowned. She is indeed a nymphomaniac. Yagayu also picked up a skewer of barbecue and started eating. While eating, he got straight to the point and asked, "I just gave you a simple treatment. What's the matter with the tooth marks on your arm?" This. Karen's mind went blank in an instant. The first thing she thought of was not to explain her ability, but these tooth marks on her arm. Would they arouse Yagayu's disgust and make the hero who saved her look at her with disgust? Seeing that Karen was speechless, Yagayu continued, "Let me check these tooth marks. They are different in size and shape. Obviously, they were not bitten by the same person. Also, your body is very healthy, but the chakra in your body is pitifully small, which is completely inconsistent with your physique. Your ability is to provide your own chakra to others. Hearing that Yagayu's tone was not disgusted, Karen breathed a sigh of relief. Yes, that's my ability. Karen nodded, without hiding anything. But my ability is not to provide chakra to others, but to heal injuries. I found that my body is special since I was a child. No matter how injured I am, as long as I bite, the injury will heal quickly. But as a price, I will consume the corresponding chakra according to the severity of the injury of the person who bites me. If chakra is not replenished, it will overdraw life. My mother, she died like this. When she said the last sentence, Karen's eyes darkened. Looking at the depressed Karen, Yagayu couldn't help but pat her shoulders and change the subject. By the way, we haven't met yet. My name is Yagayu. What's your name? As if she felt Yagayu's concern, Karen, who was already very strong in her heart, suddenly moistened her eyes and choked up and said, My name is Karen. Just like those genius orphans in the ninja world, Karen has never been cared for or cared about since her mother died. Those people completely used her as a substitute for their mother and a medical tool. But now, she felt the warmth that only her mother could give her from the people of the hostile ninja village. At this moment, Karen broke down. Looking at Karen crying with her head down, Yagayu knew it was time to start. He patted Karen's trembling shoulders again and asked softly, Karen, do you have a last name? No. No. Then do you know what your ability is called? Karen raised her little face that was crying like a cat and shook her head at Yagayu. No. I don't know. You just said that your mother also has this ability, right? Yeah, then I should know your ability and what your ancestor's last name is. Under Karen's puzzled gaze, Yagayu smiled and said, if nothing unexpected happens, Karen should be a descendant of the Uzumaki clan, and your ability is called physical healing. Uzumaki clan. Physical healing. Karen was even more confused. Kusagakur is just a small ninja village, and its cultural heritage is not comparable to that of the big ninja villages. How could it have records of the Uzumaki clan that has been extinct for many years? If there were records, Karen and her mother would not have received such treatment. It is even more impossible to send Karen to Konoha to participate in the Chunin exam. Karen obviously did not know about this 1,000-year-old clan that was the first to die. So, Yagayu slowly narrated. The Uzumaki clan is a distant blood relative of the Senju clan, so we have complete records of the Uzumaki clan in Konoha. As far as I know, this clan used to live on an island and established a ninja village called Uzushiogakure village, and has always been an ally with Konoha. But because this clan is very good at sealing techniques, many countries in the ninja world are afraid, so they joined forces to invade Uzushiogakure village decades ago. At that time, Konoha's rescue was late, and the Uzushio ninja village had been brutally destroyed. There was only time to save one person, and she was the wife of the fourth Hokage. Looking at the stunned Karen, Yagayu continued, the characteristics of the Uzumaki clan are red hair and huge chakra. They also have several unique abilities that have become legends. One of them is physical healing. This ability is exactly the same as your healing ability. If I guess correctly, your mother, or your grandmother and grandfather, should be survivors of the Uzumaki clan. Xiangling looked dazed, obviously not expecting that his life experience and abilities were so promising. At this time, Yagayu suddenly said, Xiang Phosphorus, do you want to join Konoha? Xiangling was stunned for a moment, then his expression brightened and he said nervously, but, is it okay? Xiang Phosphorus is not interested in Konoha, and just listens to stories about his life experience and abilities. After all, that happened decades ago and has nothing to do with her anymore. But when he thought about joining Konoha and being in the same village as Yagayu, Xiangling was extremely excited. However, thinking about his identity, Xianglian said uneasily, I am a ninja from Kusanagi village. Will Konoha accept someone like me? Definitely. Yagayu nodded affirmatively. As long as you are willing to join Konoha, your hair and abilities can prove your origin. I will also ask the instructor to recommend you. I believe that Lord Hokage will definitely agree to your joining Konoha. Quote, I am willing to join Konoha. Hearing this, Xiang Phosphorus nodded without hesitation. The girl knew that this was the only chance to change her destiny and get close to Yagayu. She has been in the abyss since her mother's death, and she doesn't want to miss this opportunity to seize the light. Very good. When the Chunin exams are over, I will ask you to guide the Jonin to recommend him to the Hokage. Yagayu stood up, extended his palm to Xianglin, and said with a smile, "Welcome to Konoha, Xianglin." Looking at Yagayu, who was really shining under the reflection of the flames, Xiang Phosphorus's eyes were crazy again. At this moment, she suddenly felt grateful to the grass ninja village that she had always hated. If they hadn't forced her to come here to take the Chunin exam, she would never have met Yagayu in her life. Are those two people nearby your companions? They ran away when they saw me before. It's their style. My mother and I are both outsiders. The grass ninja village does not trust us outsiders at all. This time I came to Konoha to take the Chunin exams, and I was actually prepared to die. Then do you have any guidance for the Jonin to follow? No, Kusanagi village is just a small ninja village. The number of Junin is very small. They just send 2 teams here to deal with invitations from neighboring countries. In that case, let me arrange it for you. Yagayu, whatever you say, I will do whatever you want. I will listen to you. In the forest at night, 2 figures were walking and chatting on the forest road. Just like Shiro and Kimimaro, as long as Kaoru recognizes a person, he will be his dog for the rest of his life. Even if she cannot turn around and become a mistress, even if she is hurt many times by the person she likes, Xiangling will not hate her and become a yandere. Instead, as long as the person she likes is happy, she will feel satisfied and will not marry for the rest of her life. This is the difference between ordinary dog licking and ultimate dog licking. And Yagayu has 2 such licking dogs. Shadow clone technique. Yagayu secretly turned on the red-eye clairvoyance and far-sightedness, took the fragrant phosphorus to a certain entrance in the forest of death, and then formed a seal with his hands to create a shadow clone. Immediately, Yagayu took out an envelope containing banknotes from his body, handed it to Xiang Lian, and said, "The Chunin exam should last for a while to prevent your companions from discovering you, and you cannot apply for a certificate to leave the village now. I suggest you leave Konoha and live somewhere in the land of fire for a while. After the Chunin exams are over, I will go to you with the guidance Junin, and then take you back to Konoha. You can use this money to rent a house and eat something good." Xiang Ling quickly shook his head and waved his hands. "Yagayu-kun, you don't need to give me money, I can find a place to live wherever I want. Take it." Yagayu suddenly changed from his previous gentleness, forcefully stuffing the envelope into Xianglin's hand, and then said with a smile, "Your body is too weak now. If you don't take good care of yourself, the Hokage will not believe that you are a descendant of the Uzumaki clan, If you feel embarrassed, then just treat the money as if I lent it to you. Just wait until you join Konoha and can perform tasks to make money, and then return the money to me." Xiang Ling once again felt the warmth that her mother could give her, and nodded vigorously with some moisture in her eyes. "Let's go. While it's dark and no one is around, I'll let the shadow clone take you out of Konoha." Just as Xiang Ling was about to leave with the shadow clone, he suddenly turned to Yagayu and asked, "Yagayu-kun, where should I wait for you?" The corner of Yagayu's mouth raised slightly, and he softly said a place name, Tanshu Street. After sending away the phosphorus, Yagayu quickly went back to meet Aburame Shino and Hinata. Yagayu is very reassured about the safety of aromatic phosphorus. Now in the dead of night, and with the red-eyed illusion ability that even Byakugan can't see through, Kosovo can walk out of Konoha's gates openly. Turning on the red-eye farsightedness, Yagayu began to look for the location of Class 8. When he followed the memory to a certain range, he had been staying with Team 8, and at the same time, the shadow clone with red eyes and farsightedness turned on, and immediately turned into a ball of white smoke and disappeared. Neither Shino Aburame nor Hinata were surprised by this. When Yagayu's shadow clone brought the prey back, he had already told them that he was just a shadow clone. After Yagayu's true form came back, Aburame Shino couldn't help but ask, "Yagayu, have you found someone?" "No, I wasn't looking for anyone just now." Yagayu shook his head and said the wording he had already thought of, "I met a very interesting person when I was hunting just now. I will introduce him to you if I have the opportunity in the future." People from other ninja villages. Well, her status is a bit special. I need to tell Teacher Hong after the exam is over. Yagayu nodded, as if he didn't want to say more. Shino Aburame didn't ask any more questions. But both he and Hinata were a little curious about the person Yagayu was talking about. The person who can make Yagayu take it so seriously, waste so much time, and tell Teacher Hong, must be very special and important. Thinking of this, Aburame Shino and Hinata's minds couldn't help but flash the figures of the candidates they paid attention to during the first exam. Looking at the two people who were deep in thought, Yagayu said with a smile, "You should rest first, I will keep watch." Good. Time blinked to the next morning. After taking out the water source from the storage scroll and washing themselves briefly, Class 8 continued to search for Class 7 and Class 10. Suddenly, Lu Sheng's expression suddenly changed slightly, as if he remembered something. Then he quickly formed seals with his hands, creating several shadow clones. This time, the shadow clones' teleportation speed was extremely fast, and 3 red-eye surveillance cameras covering a 1-kilometer radius were searching for the location of Team 7 in the Forest of Death. Even if he hasn't been found yet, Yagayu knows the current situation of Team 7. They must have encountered the grass ninja disguised as Orochimaru yesterday, and Uchiha Sasuke must have had the curse seal of heaven planted on his neck. There is also Naruto, who was also struck by Orochimaru's 5-element seal and was in a coma along with Uchiha Sasuke. The only person awake in Class 7 right now is Sakura. This is also the reason why the shadow clone is a little anxious. Due to the first exam, Kabuto Yakushi had no chance to show off his acting skills, which made Yagayu forget about the minions. Yagayu just suddenly remembered that after Orochimaru planted the curse seal on Uchiha Sasuke, he not only reunited with Mitarashi Anko in the Forest of Death, but also ordered the Sound Ninja Trio to kill Uchiha Sasuke before leaving. In fact, it was to stimulate the power of Uchiha Sasuke's curse seal and make Uchiha Sasuke addicted to the power he gave. But because the Sound Ninja Trio was too loyal and active, they found Team 7 before Uchiha Sasuke woke up. Both main forces were unconscious, and Sakura could only face the Sound Ninja Trio alone. In the original work, it was also in this battle that Sakura ushered in her first transformation, cutting off her long hair and taking the first step to become Brother Sakura. Transformation is a good thing, but that is for Sakura in the original work. Now Sakura does not need any transformation. Sakura, who grew up with the 3 Yagayu, has already transformed and is now a very qualified and even excellent auxiliary ninja. If she had not had enough chakra when she was a child, Yagayu would have taught her water ninjutsu long ago. Because Sakura's chakra attributes are the same as before Yagayu graduated, which are the 4 attributes of yin, yang, water, and earth. After graduation, Yagayu did not teach Sakura ninjutsu, but let her continue to lay a good foundation in perception and medical treatment, leaving a deep impression on Hitaki Kakashi. After the 7th team was temporarily disbanded, she was recommended to Tsunade by Hitaki Kakashi as in the original work. So now Sakura also does not have much combat power. Before she was beaten up by the Sound Ninja Trio, Yagayu had to find her first. His wings, not everyone can hit. Under the full-speed search of the 3 shadow clones, Sakura's location was quickly found. However, just as the shadow clone was released and the memory was fed back, a cold light flashed in Yagayu's eyes, and he said to Hinata and Aburame Shino, "Sakura is in trouble, I'll go first, you guys hurry up." After saying that, Yagayu's figure disappeared out of thin air, and a shadow that was difficult to capture with the naked eye quickly passed over the treetops in the forest. In a blink of an eye, Yagayu disappeared in front of Aburame Shino and Hinata. Seeing this scene, Aburame Shino's pupils shrank slightly under her sunglasses. Is this Yagayu's true speed? He even hid the instant body technique so deeply. In a certain area of the Death Forest, in the open space between 2 towering trees, 2 girls were fighting. Bang bang was like the sound of a balloon exploding, and the swish sound of breaking through the air kept sounding, startling the surrounding animals to flee in all directions. The screen zoomed in, and Sakura was seen releasing her perception technique, constantly disrupting the flow of chakra in her body, and breaking the illusion in front of her. From Sakura's perspective, several afterimages appeared around the black-haired girl in front. Together with the main body, they continued to throw a large number of Senbon at Sakura. This black-haired girl is none other than Jin, one of the trio of sound ninjas. Facing Jin's Senbon attack, Sakura skillfully used the substitution technique to change positions with the wood that had been prepared. At the same time, she kept taking out smoke bombs from her ninja tool bag and throwing them at Jin. Whenever the smoke exploded, blocking Jin's sight, Sakura took out her shuriken and returned the favor. With strong perception and solid foundation, Sakura left scars on Jin's body many times, making him embarrassed in front of his companions. However, Sakura's situation was not much better. At this time, her face was covered with bruises and scars, as well as red palm prints, and there were still traces of blood on the corners of her mouth. Obviously she had been slapped. This is indeed the case. Sakura never imagined that such a monster would appear in the Chunin exam. Neither Naruto nor Uchiha Sasuke, who was second only to Yagyu, had the slightest ability to fight back in the hands of that grass ninja. On that grass ninja, Sakura felt a chasm-like chasm, which was even more terrifying than Momochi Zabuza. At that moment, Sakura thought she was dead. But for some reason, the grass ninja didn't kill her, nor did he kill Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke. The other party just planted a black curse mark on Uchiha Sasuke's neck and chose to leave. When Sakura treated Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke, she found that they were in very good health, but they had not woken up since last night. Sakura could only move them into the tree hole, and then use invisibility to disguise the entrance of the hole. As a result, not long after dawn, these three sound ninjas came to the door and wanted to kill Uchiha Sasuke by name. During this time, Sakura, who had already established a bond with Team 7, could not abandon her companions and run away, so she bravely stood up. Jin, who grew up in the cruel environment of the Sound Ninja Village, couldn't stand the spoiled Sakura and proposed to teach Sakura a lesson himself. Seeing that Sakura was the only one awake in Class 7, Toss and Sark, who were very confident in their own strength, were not in a hurry to complete Orochimaru's mission immediately but asked Jin to play with Sakura. At the beginning, the two of them were fighting in close combat. As a top 10 honors student in her grade, Sakura received either perfect or high marks in all subjects. Especially in terms of fighting skills, Sakura, who has been fighting against Yagyu and Hinata since she was a child, is not much weaker than Jin, who fights in the Sound Ninja Village. But Sakura didn't expect that the other party was actually a genjutsu ninja, and it was also an auditory genjutsu. Sakura, who had no intelligence advantage, was caught by Jin Yin during the fight. However, the opponent did not take the opportunity to attack Sakura's fatal parts, but slapped her. After realizing that she was no match for those close to her, Sakura decisively distanced herself from Jin. This was why she had been using substitute techniques and smoke bombs just now. However, props are limited, and Sakura's shurikens and smoke bombs are quickly used up. In addition, this was her first life or death duel, and Sakura, whose combat experience was limited to taijutsu duels, soon fell into Jin's genjutsu again and was kicked away by him. Her body rolled around on the ground several times, and before Sakura could get up, a foot stepped on her back, and then her arm and hair were grabbed. Has anyone ever told you that you have a very ugly look and hair? Jin tugged on Sakura's long pink hair and used taunts to hide his jealousy. She was jealous not only of Sakura's long pink hair, but also of her red cheongsam and her pampered temperament. They are obviously similar in age, so why is it that she is an orphan, growing up in an environment like the Sound Ninja Village, and finally becoming a genin? But this woman was born in Konoha, one of the 5 great ninja villages. She has such beautiful hair and clothes, and can easily get the ninja forehead protector that she can only get through fighting. Her strength is obviously so weak. Why? Her hair and arms were pulled, but Sakura did not scream or beg for mercy. She just looked at Jin with a ferocious face with her beautiful emerald eyes, her eyes showing no fear, but a trace of disdain. What's that look in your face? Jin was instantly stimulated by Sakura's eyes. He pulled her long pink hair hard and yelled, "Let me understand the situation clearly. You are just a loser, I am the winner." Xiao Yingliu, who was in pain from being dragged, frowned slightly, but a smile appeared on her little face covered with bruises. "You lost. If you want to blame me, I blame you for not killing me in the first place. Did you get fooled by my slap? What nonsense are you talking about?" Jin smiled ferociously and said, "It's not too late for me to kill you now, but I won't let you die so happily. I will pull out all your hair, then scratch your face, dig out your eyeballs, and let you die. You die in pain." After finishing speaking, Jin will use all his strength to pull Sakura's hair. But the next second, her eyes widened and her pupils tightened. The wrist that was holding Sakura's hair was suddenly grabbed by a hand, and a tall figure appeared next to her out of thin air. This is not the key. The key is that after Jin's wrist was grabbed, her body could not move, as if she was deprived of control of her body. Jin binding technique. Jin's ability to speak was not deprived. As a ninja of illusion, she recognized the technique that bound herself at a glance. Before she could disrupt the flow of chakra in her body and break through the restraints of her body, her expression became more ferocious and she screamed. The intense pain made her uncontrollable palm automatically loosen Sakura's hair and arm. Yagyu pulled out a kunai and stabbed it hard into her elbow. After Jin let go of her hair, Yagyu twisted the hand holding her wrist hard. With the sound of a crack, Jin screamed miserably again, and his eyes were full of bloodshot. Seeing this scene, Toss and Sak, who were watching the show from a distance, finally reacted. Just as they rushed to Lu Sheng and prepared to save Jin, Lu Sheng turned around and jumped sideways, kicking Jin directly towards them. Before they could catch the flying Jin, Lu Sheng disappeared again, caught up with the flying Jin, and held a high-speed rotating blue energy ball in his hand and pressed it on Jin's body. In an instant, Jin's flying body spun in the air, and the speed of the flying backwards increased several times, flying towards Toss and Sak like a rotating boulder. Seeing this scene, Toss and Sak dared not catch it, and quickly dodged sideways. After Jin's body flew through them, it flew a long distance until it hit a towering tree that more than a dozen people hugged, and smashed a dent on the trunk before stopping. Gurgle. Looking at Jin, who was trapped in the tree trunk and whose life and death were unknown, Toss and Sak could not help swallowing their saliva. If you look closely, you will find that cold sweat has appeared near their temples and faces. They were not scared by Jin's miserable condition, but by the ninjutsu that Yagyu had just used. No mark ninjutsu. And it was a no mark ninjutsu with such great power. Toss came to his senses and took out the scroll with the word, Earth, written on it without any hesitation, and said to Yagyu, "We admit defeat. This scroll is given to you. Can you let us go?" "No, you will all stay here." A high-speed rotating energy ball appeared in Yagyu's hand again. Zengkongji. Seeing that Yagyu did not agree to the deal, Sak immediately clapped his hands and was about to use his strongest sound wave attack. However, before he could mobilize his chakra to transform into sound waves, he let out a miserable scream from his mouth, and his expression was extremely hideous. Toss was startled by Sak's sudden scream. He looked at Sak, who was twitching all over, with a ferocious expression and bloodshot eyes, and shouted, "Sak, you are in an illusion, get rid of it quickly." Sak seemed not to hear Toss's voice. At this time, he had fallen to the ground, rolling and screaming, "It's so hot, help me put out the fire on my body." In Sak's perspective, the surrounding forest had turned into a sea of fire, and his whole body was wrapped in flames. Burning, one of the most tragic ways to die, made Sak extremely painful, and he couldn't even break free from the illusion. This trick was illusion Shiranui. How dare you be distracted? Just when Toss turned his head to look at Sak, Yagyu had already rushed in front of him and pressed the Rasengan on Toss's body. Boom! A loud bang exploded, and Tuz flew backwards like a cannonball. His body, like Jin just now, kept spinning in the air, and with a blue swirling chakra cyclone, he hit a big tree heavily. A huge pit immediately appeared on the tree trunk. Tosa's body was stuck in the tree trunk, and his life or death was unknown. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Yagyu showed no mercy, took out 3 kunai, and threw them with superb throwing skills, inserting them into the heads of the 3 sound ninjas, taking their lives. Swish whoosh whoosh. White light flashed from the 3 people. As the 3 beams flew out, several white light balls floated on the ground around the 3 bodies. Yagyu just glanced at these light balls and turned to walk towards Sakura. At this time, Sakura was facing away from Yagyu, with a green light flashing in front of her, obviously treating her injuries. "Sakura, are you okay?" Yagyu touched Sakura's head from behind and asked caringly. Sakura lowered her head, covered her face with her green palm, and treated her. "Yagyu, don't look at me, I look ugly now." "No, you looked very handsome just now." Yagyu laughed dumbly, rubbed Sakura's hair hard, and said, "You are too slow to treat yourself, let me help you." "No, you have a camera on you, what if you take a secret photo?" Sakura complained coquettishly. Hinata said you often take secret photos of her. I don't want to be photographed by you so ugly. No, why does Hinata tell you everything? Yagyu promised with a face full of shame. Without waiting for Sakura to speak, Yagyu suddenly raised his eyebrows and looked at a cave. Sakura also stopped the treatment and looked up at the cave where Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke were, and said with horror, Sasuke woke up, why did his chakra become like this? Sakura, who did the wound on your face? Uchiha Sasuke's voice came into his ears. In the shadow of the cave, a figure with purple chakra and evil aura slowly walked out. Uchiha Sasuke, whose half-face was covered with black curse marks, opened his double Magatama Sharingan and was looking at Yagyu and Sakura. He noticed Sakura with bruises on her face at the first time and asked. The enemy came just now, but they were all solved by Yagyu. Sakura explained briefly, and then asked with a little concern, Sasuke, are you okay? I'm fine. Uchiha Sasuke looked down at the black curse mark that spread to his left hand, and said excitedly, not only am I fine now, but I feel very good, as if I can do anything. However, his words made Sakura even more uneasy. At this time, Uchiha Sasuke suddenly looked at Yagyu, his smile explained what evil charm is, and challenged him, Yagyu, do you want to fight? No, your current state is very wrong. Yagyu shook his head and reminded, although I don't know what happened to your body, this chakra is obviously not yours. Are you going to give up the pride of the Uchiha clan and immerse yourself in this external force? Hearing this, Uchiha Sasuke's smile froze slightly, and then his face showed a look of pain, and he groaned, his Sharingan turned back to black, and he squatted down, covering his neck. After a while, he stood up weakly again, and the curse marks on his face and hands had faded. After his emotions returned to normal, Uchiha Sasuke glanced at Sakura not far away, as well as the bodies of Jin and Toss trapped in the tree, and finally returned his gaze to Sakura, apologetically saying, sorry, I got you into trouble, Sakura. I'm glad you're all right. Seeing Uchiha Sasuke return to his original state, Sakura was relieved and apologetically said, I should be sorry, I haven't been able to help. You're already amazing for daring to face such an enemy. Yagyu couldn't help pinching Sakura's little face, causing her to breathe in pain. Let me treat you, your chakra is too weak. Yagyu squatted down and performed medical ninjutsu on Sakura's face. Sakura quickly closed her eyes, her cheeks flushed, and she was still muttering, hurry up, I can sense Hinata's chakra, I can't let her see me like this. Hinata has a Byakugan, I'm afraid she has seen it a long time ago. It's different, the picture of her Byakugan is black and white. Okay, I really can't do anything to you. Looking at the two people whispering, Uchiha Sasuke covered his neck and came to Sak's body, and then looked at the bodies of Tuz and Jin who were trapped in the tree trunk. To be precise, he was staring at the traces of destruction around them. A few seconds later, Uchiha Sasuke seemed to remember something, suddenly turned his head, endured the pain brought by the curse seal, and opened the double Magatama Sharingan again. Looking at Yagyu who had cured Sakura's injuries, a trace of horror flashed in his eyes, and then a strong fighting spirit appeared on his face. Such amazing chakra, is this your true strength? I didn't expect you to hide it so deeply. Great, only you like this are worthy of being my opponent. Only by defeating the real you can we avenge our previous shame and prove the power of Uchiha. Chapter 51. Sakura, are you okay? I almost got killed. Fortunately, Yagyu arrived in time. As soon as Yagyu finished treating Sakura, Hinata and Aburame Shino suddenly appeared. Hinata was immediately concerned about Sakura's physical condition. Byakugan checked the chakra flow in her body to see if there was any problem with her meridians. Fortunately, Sakura did not suffer any internal injuries except for the large consumption of chakra. So, the two best friends walked aside and started whispering. The art of shadow clone. Yagyu formed a seal with his hands to separate 3 shadow clones. Then he took out 3 storage scrolls from nowhere and asked the shadow clones to collect the bodies of the 3 sound ninjas. Uchiha Sasuke was slightly surprised by this. He didn't know why Yagyu wanted to collect the enemy's corpse. But he didn't ask any more questions. After all, these corpses were Yagyu's trophies. Aburame Shino was not surprised. Yagyu must have used his trump card again and did not want others to know his secret. After the shadow clone packed up the bodies of the 3 sound ninjas, he brought the storage scroll back to Yagayu and handed the Book of Earth to Yagayu. Yagayu first put away the storage scroll, then raised the Book of Earth in his hand, looked at Uchiha Sasuke and asked, "We have gathered the Book of Heaven and Earth, do you want this scroll?" "No, we will grab it ourselves." Just as Yagayu thought, the proud Uchiha Sasuke refused without hesitation. "Then we'll meet at the central tower." Yagayu put away the Book of Earth, came to Hinata's side, and said to Sakura, "Sasuke has woken up, and it's time for us to leave. After all, we are enemies now. Well, see you at the central tower." Sakura was a little reluctant to give up, but she still smiled and nodded. So, Yagayu, Hinata waved to Sakura, and disappeared together with Aburame Shino. From the beginning to the end, Sakura did not say thank you to Yagayu, because the relationship between the 4 of them no longer required this. The 8th class stepped on the treetops and flew through the forest. Shino Aburame looked at Yagayu and asked, "Have you found Team 10? "Found it. They don't need help. They have already collected the Book of Heaven and Earth." Yagayu smiled and said, "Let's go directly to the central tower." Good. Therefore, Class 8 rushed at full speed and arrived at the high tower in the center of the Death Forest in only 10 minutes. In less than 24 hours, Class 8 passed the second exam. Since there were still more than 100 hours left before the end of the second exam, Class 8 was arranged to stay in the dormitory of the center tower, waiting for the end of the exam. You can rest, and Konoha also provides food. If the third exam begins immediately after the second exam ends, those candidates who arrive early will have a huge advantage. Just like that, time quickly came to 4 days later. During this period, Yagayu met Gaara many times in the cafeteria, and Gaara looked at him with murderous intent. Presumably under Gaara's sand armor, his expression must be excited and ferocious. Yagayu just laughed it off. However, his smile and the way he showed no fear of Gaara aroused the fear of Temari and Kankuro. After the first exam, they did a little research on Yagayu and were curious about how he managed to calm Gaara down. After learning that the other party was the top student of this class, and that he was in the same class with the orphan of the Uchiha clan and the heirs of the major ninja clans for several years, they realized that this civilian genius was definitely not as simple as he appeared. By the time the plan begins, this person is likely to be one of the biggest enemies of the 3 siblings. Konoha, July 7, 1960, 14:30 in the afternoon. Yagayu and the other 3 received the notice that the second exam was about to end. When they arrived at the lobby on the first floor of the central tower, there were already candidates standing there. Unlike the spotless Class 8 and the 3 Gaara siblings, these candidates' bodies were either wrapped in bandages, or their clothes were in tatters, or covered in dust, etc. It was obvious that these 5 days had been difficult for them. The arrival of Yagayu and the others immediately attracted a lot of attention. The eyes these people looked at them were full of fear. However, some people were slightly enlightened after seeing Hinata's eye roll. The opponent has farsightedness and clairvoyance. As long as he collects the Book of Heaven and Earth, it is normal for him to reach the central tower faster than them. Yagayu, Hinata, this way, this way. Ino's voice reached his ears. Yagayu looked into the crowd and saw a girl with a different hairstyle and a golden twintails waving towards them. Next to her, there was Sakura, who was also covered in dust and looked slightly embarrassed. Yagayu walked over with a smile. As soon as he came to Ino's side, Yagayu heard Ino's coquettish complaint. "Yagayu, you went to find Sakura, why didn't you come to me?" "Who said they didn't find it?" Yagayu helped Ino straighten her ponytail and said with a smile, "I found both of you. I only showed up when Sakura was in danger. After seeing you get the scroll, I left with peace of mind." Hehe. Actually, I'm looking for you too. I didn't know that Sakura was in danger until I met Team 7 the day before yesterday. Sakura's performance was very good. The look she looked at that sound ninja was very handsome. It's a pity that she didn't take a picture. Stop talking, it's too embarrassing. Yagayu, where is your camera hidden? Do you have any developed photos? Let me see them. Guess. ... Just when the 4 Yagayu were chatting, the time had already reached 1500. At this time, a large group of figures appeared on the second floor, including the examiner and invigilator of the second exam, as well as the guiding jonin of each team and unfamiliar jonin. The leader was the third Hokage, one of the 5 cages. The guiding Jonins did not come down to chat with their students, but came to the stands on both sides and gave their students a thumbs up or nodded to give affirmation. Yuhi Kurenai was one of the thumbs up. Looking at the 3 Yagyu who were spotless and in sharp contrast to the other candidates, she knew that the 3 Yagyu must be the first candidates to pass the test. Among the guiding Jonin, only Hatake Kakashi came down instantly. After checking Uchiha Sasuke's curse seal, he wanted to take Uchiha Sasuke to seal the curse seal, but was rejected by Uchiha Sasuke. He didn't know if there would be any exams next, and he didn't want to be eliminated because of his absence. Hatake Kakashi didn't force it, but returned to the stands and looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen with the candidates. Next, Sarutobi Hiruzen began his speech, telling the candidates about the importance of the Chunin exam and the 3rd exam. The Chunin exam is an important competition for major ninja villages to show their national strength in peacetime, and the importance lies in the 3rd exam. The 3rd exam will be held in the largest square in Konoha. At that time, there will not only be a large number of spectators, but also a large number of wealthy people and nobles to watch. Powerful villages and ninjas will be favored by them, and their villages may be chosen for commission tasks in the future, or their teams may be designated. However, candidates who can participate in the 3rd exam must be the elite among the elites. Since there are still too many candidates who have passed the 2nd exam, and the 2nd exam is a team competition, there will be an individual elimination match to screen out half of the elite genin. Yagyu stood behind the team and counted the number of candidates. Including him, there were a total of 24 candidates who passed the 2nd exam. Except for Yagyu, there are 23 candidates who passed the 2nd exam. Among these 23 people, only 6 are not Konoha ninjas, and the rest are all Konoha genin. First of all, the 12 little strongmen occupy 12 places. Because of Inuzuka Kiba, his 2 teammates also passed the 2nd exam, so there are 14 places. And Kabuto Yakushi and his teammates are undercovers planted by Orochimaru in Konoha, and they occupy another 3 places. The Sound Ninja Trio has been killed by Yagyu, but there are still 3 Sound Ninjas in the Sound Village who passed the 2nd exam. Obviously, during these 5 days, Kabuto Yakushi has known about the death of Tas and others, and told Orochimaru. These 3 Sound Ninjas were planted by Kabuto Yakushi or Orochimaru. The purpose is to allow Orochimaru to appear here openly. After all, the Sound Ninja Trio had not come back to report, and Orochimaru didn't know whether Uchiha Sasuke had used the power of the curse seal, and whether he liked the gift he gave, so he came to see Uchiha Sasuke's reaction. The 12 little warriors, Yagyu and Inuzuka Kiba's 2 teammates, Kabuto Yakushi and his teammates, 3 Sound Ninjas and Gaara's 3 siblings, exactly 24 people. Ahem, I'm the chief examiner of this exam, Gekko Hayate. After Sarutobi Hiruzen finished his speech, Gekko Hayate appeared in an instant with a form, but the dark circles under his eyes and his weak appearance made the examinees doubt his identity as a Jonin. Moonlight Gale didn't pay attention to their looks, but pointed to the big screen on the wall and said, "Your names will be displayed on the screen, and then a random match will be made. Those whose names are displayed will stay, and the rest will go to the 2nd floor stands to wait. Before the elimination round begins, I want to confirm whether any of you have chosen to give up." As soon as Moonlight Gale finished speaking, Kabuto Yakushi, who was hiding in the crowd, stood up and raised his hand and said, "I choose to give up." "Your name is Kabuto Yakushi. I know, you can leave." Moonlight Gale glanced at the form in his hand, then nodded, crossed out Kabuto Yakushi's name, and said, "If one person chooses to give up, then I give up too." "Me too." At this time, 2 Odo Nin suddenly stood up and also chose to give up. Seeing this scene, many Jonins looked strange. But after seeing the bandages on the 2 Odo Nins, a flash of realization flashed through their eyes. They didn't know much about this village that had just been established not long ago. Looking at the appearance of these 2 Odo Nins, they should be very weak. Being able to get here is already their limit. The 2 Odo Ninas' waiver also helped Yakushi Kabuto draw a lot of attention. "I know, you can all leave." Moonlight Gale crossed out 2 names again and said, 3 people waived, and there are 21 remaining candidates. In the end, 1 person will be given a bye. If no one wavers, then I will announce the start of the elimination round. Moonlight Gale deliberately waited for a few seconds. After seeing that no one waved, he took out the intercom and notified the invigilator in the backstage. Let's start. Swish. The big screen on the wall lit up instantly. The names of the 21 Yagyu appeared on the screen one after another. When everyone's name was displayed, a huge VS appeared. One name after another kept flashing on both sides of the verses. After a while, two names were frozen, which was exactly Uchiha Sasuke vs Akadenka Kai. Seeing these two names, Yagyu smiled in his heart. They said random matching. This is clearly a secret operation. If Uchiha Sasuke's name was not in the first match, Yagyu might still think that the original work was just a coincidence. But now it is the same as the original work, which means that Sarutobi Hiruzen deliberately arranged it in order to let Uchiha Sasuke go down to seal the Heaven's Curse seal as soon as possible. Uchiha Sasuke and Akado Kai stay, and the others please go to the second floor stand to wait. As the voice of Moonlight Gale fell, Yagyu and others went up to the stand and came to the side of the instructor. Yuhi Kurenai once again gave a thumbs up to the three Yagyu and smiled. Well done, after this exam is over, the teacher will treat you to barbecue. Thanks to Hinata's white eyes and Shino's bugs, we don't need to look for the target in the center tower. Yagyu smiled. Hinata smiled shyly, while Aburame Shino said calmly, Yagayu's illusion is the key. Don't be modest, the three of you performed very well. Yuhi Kurenai patted Yagyu and Aburame Shino's shoulders, then put her arm around Hinata's shoulders and said with a smile, watch the game first, see the gap between you and others, and understand the opponent's ability in advance. Yes, Yagyu and the other two nodded in response, then either stood or lay on the handrails of the stands, looking at Uchiha Sasuke and Akado Kai standing facing each other below. Akado Kai is Kabuto Yakushi's teammate, one of Orochimaru's undercovers in Konoha. What a coincidence, Orochimaru's chess piece just matched Uchiha Sasuke. Yagyu couldn't help but laugh secretly, worthy of being a master and apprentice. The two of them intervened in this match very tacitly. The battle started quickly, but it ended quickly too. Just like in the original story, Uchiha Sasuke is temporarily unable to use the power of the Sharingan due to the curse seal, and can only use the basic knowledge of the ninja school to fight against the red copper armor. However, since the red copper armor has chakra absorption, Uchiha Sasuke, who was already weak due to the torture of the curse seal, could not defeat the red copper armor for a while. Just when the curse seal was about to spread, Uchiha Sasuke actually suppressed the curse seal with his will and defeated the red copper armor with his own lion combo. It seems that when Team 7 was in the comprehensive building, they still met the Might Guy team, and when they left the comprehensive building, they were taught a lesson by Xiao Li. Seeing that Uchiha Sasuke defeated the red copper armor without the curse seal, Orochimaru became more greedy for this container. After the battle, Uchiha Sasuke was taken away by Hatake Kakashi to the secret room to seal the curse seal. Seeing this scene, Orochimaru also left quietly. The screen flickered again, and the name of the second round of duel was quickly fixed. Aburame Shino vs Takuto. It's over. The opponent is not Naruto. This time I'm definitely eliminated. The wailing sound suddenly sounded in the stands on the other side. The civilian teammate next to Kiba Inuzuka shouted with his hands on his head. Hearing this, Naruto immediately shouted in dissatisfaction, "Hey, what do you mean by this?" Takuto did not respond to Naruto, but with the encouragement of Kiba Inuzuka and another female teammate, he bravely faced Shino Aburame. The result of this battle was naturally that Shino Aburame won easily. Unless a civilian ninja is loved by the guiding Jonin, or promoted to Chunin to get investment from the village, or uses merit to exchange for ninjutsu scrolls, it would be good if he can learn one or two ninjutsu from the guiding Jonin in his life. Moreover, the chakra of civilian ninjas is pitifully small. Uchiha Sasuke in the original work only used AC level fire escape, great fireball technique, which surprised Hatake Kakashi. Civilian ninjas don't even have the chakra to use C-level ninjutsu at this age. Facing Aburame Shino, who has been trained by her family since childhood and can use various insect secrets, Takuto was not killed instantly, which means Aburame Shino was letting him win. This world where bloodline is supreme is so cruel. After Aburame Shino won, the list of the third round of duels came out soon. Ken Masumi vs Kankuro. Like Akado Kai, Ken Masumi is also an undercover agent planted by Orochimaru in Konoha, and is one of the 2 teammates of Kabuto Yakushi. It's just that this undercover agent doesn't seem very smart. When fighting with Kankuro, he used software transformation unscrupulously, and his body could stretch freely like a snake. People who don't know Orochimaru may not see anything wrong. But people who know Orochimaru better, see the shadow of Orochimaru in Ken Masumi. For example, Orochimaru's disciple, Mitarashi Anko. And Sarutobi Hiruzen. Even if Ken Masumi wins, he should be waiting for the people of the torture department. Unfortunately, he is not Kankuro's opponent. The initial software transformation can still cause a little trouble to Kankuro. But as his abilities are understood and there are no new moves, Kankuro quickly defeated him with a puppet. The 5th round of the duel, Nara Shikamaru vs. Taeda Riki. Taeda Riki is the only Oto nin who did not give up. However, before Nara Shikamaru went down, the Oto nin raised his hand and said, "I give up." Hearing this, many people cast strange eyes at him. Some suspicious people even had a trace of scrutiny in their eyes. There is no way, this person is too suspicious. He did not give up just now, but gave up now, what is he doing? The Oto nin ignored the eyes of these big men, raised his hand to give up, and left here quickly. The mission of him and his companions is just to cover for Orochimaru and Lord Kabuto. Now that Lord Orochimaru's goal has been achieved, there is naturally no need to stay here. After all, their strength is far inferior to Lord Toss and others. Sarutobi Hiruzen held a pipe in his hand and whispered to a special Jonin next to him, "Go check these Oto nin and their guiding Jonin." Yes, as the Oto nin gave up, the name on the screen flashed again. At the same time, a figure quietly appeared on the 2nd floor stand. It was Hatake Kakashi, who had already sealed the curse seal for Uchiha Sasuke. He did not report to Sarutobi Hiruzen. He had just met Orochimaru in the secret room. Instead, he told Naruto and Sakura about Uchiha Sasuke's situation, and then watched the next duel with the 2 students. When the list of the 6th round of duels was finalized, no one noticed that the pupils of Yagayu, who was lying on the armrest, suddenly shrank to the limit under the lenses of the contact lenses. How is this possible? The list of the 6th round of duels was surprisingly Hinata Hyuga vs Yumiko. Yumiko was not unfamiliar to Yagayu, and the 3 Hinata girls, Nara Shikamaru and Akamichi Choji, were not unfamiliar. Before Hinata joined Yagayu's small circle, Yumiko was Sakura's deskmate. This is not the key. The main reason why Yagayu's pupils shrank was why Hinata's opponent was Yumiko. It is not difficult to see from Uchiha Sasuke vs. Akadon Kai that the random matches on the screen are all operated behind the scenes, whether in the original work or now. Sakura vs. Ino in the original work may be said to be a coincidence. But there are 2 duels that are definitely deliberately arranged. These 2 duels are Uchiha Sasuke vs. Akadon Kai, and Hyuga Hinata vs. Hyuga Neji. As the only remaining wealthy family in Konoha, the Hyuga clan has become the most valued ninja clan of Sarutobi Hiruzen. If it were not for the fact that it is difficult for this clan to have a cage level, and at the same time knowing that they are the weakest wealthy family in Konoha, and have always been a supporter of the Hokage lineage since the establishment of Konoha, the Hyuga clan would definitely be suppressed by the Konoha high-level officials, and their treatment would not be much better than that of the Uchiha clan. Since the birth of the bird in the cage, the Hyuga clan has always had the most outstanding heirs of the main family, and will be the strongest of the Hyuga clan in the future. But in this generation, a genius appeared in the branch family, who was the top student of the 59th class of Konoha and the best genin of the 59th class of Konoha. In the original work, Sarutobi Hiruzen arranged Hinata vs Hyuga Neji, the purpose of which was to observe whether the Hyuga clan of this generation was the best, the main family or the branch family. But now, Hinata's opponent is not Hyuga Neji. Is it a coincidence that Hinata was matched with Hyuga Neji in the original work? The only real secret operation was Uchiha Sasuke vs Akado Kai. Although he felt extremely confused, Yagayu still smiled and encouraged Hinata, "Hinata, come on." Yeah, Hinata nodded with a smile, and then walked down. Coincidentally, she and Yumiko were in the same stand. When the 2 girls went down together, Yumiko whispered to Hinata, "Hinata, give me some face." Hinata nodded seriously. Yes, I will. Hinata was very grateful to Yumiko. If she hadn't been willing to exchange seats with her, her relationship with Ino and Sakura would never have reached the current level. She was able to get the friendship she longed for and get in such close contact with the person she loved, thanks to Yumiko's help. So, Hinata decided to go easy on Yumiko. When the battle started, Hinata did not open the Byakugan, nor did she use the soft fist to deal with Yumiko, but used the basics of the ninja school teaching to fight Yumiko as an apprentice ninja. During the period, Yumiko did not use any ninjutsu except the 3 bodies. It's not that the instructor hasn't taught yet, it should be that he hasn't learned it yet. After fighting for more than 20 rounds, Hinata appeared behind Yumiko in an instant and put a kunai on her neck to end the fight. Seeing Hinata's performance, Hyuga Neji of the Might Guy team frowned, and he was even more displeased with this young lady. She could have ended the fight quickly, why did she let him go like this? As the eldest daughter of the main family, she actually fought with a civilian ninja like this. Doesn't she know that she is embarrassing the family? Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded with satisfaction in his heart. This kindness to his own people is precious for the children of the ninja clan. If the Hyuga clan is inherited by Hyuga Hinata in the future, there will be no threat to the top leaders of Konoha for at least the next few decades. When Hinata returned to the stands, the name on the screen flashed again. Before Yagayu congratulated Hinata, a lot of eyes gathered on him, including Yuhi Kurenai and Aburame Shino next to him, and Hinata who had returned. On the big screen, it was clearly displayed. Yagayu vs Hyuga Neji. Seeing Yagayu's surprised expression, Sarutobi Hiruzen, who was smoking with his pipe in hand, couldn't help but smile. Just as Yagayu thought, this random match was indeed a secret operation. When he saw the list of people who passed the second exam, Sarutobi Hiruzen did have the idea of observing the heirs of the main and branch families of the Hyuga clan. But after seeing Yagayu's name, he suddenly changed his mind and wanted to see the duel between the chief student of this class and the chief student of the previous class. At the same time, Sarutobi Hiruzen also wanted to take this opportunity to see the potential of Yagayu, a civilian genius. If Hyuga Neji wins, the duel between the main and branch families will be arranged in the official match of the third exam. If Yagayu wins, it means that he is worth training and can be invested in, so that the Hokage lineage will have another mainstay in the future. This arrangement is simply a plan to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Yagayu was indeed very surprised. 1 second, he was still thinking whether it was a coincidence that Hinata vs Hyuga Neji in the original novel was a coincidence, but the next second, he was matched with Hyuga Neji. There is no doubt that Yagayu's guess was not wrong. The matching of the original work was indeed a secret operation, and it is the same now. It's just that Sarutobi Hiruzen no longer wants to see the showdown between the head clan and the branch heirs of the Hyuga clan, but wants to see the showdown between the chief students. So, Lu Sheng calmed down, nodded to Class 8 who cheered him on, and then appeared in the hall. Yagayu, come on, don't be merciful and beat him up just because he is a member of Hinata's clan. Ino's shouting voice resounded throughout the audience, and he didn't care about the looks coming his way. This made Sakura and Hinata very envious. Shy Hinata and ladylike Sakura really don't have the courage to do such a thing, so they can only cheer for Yagayu in their hearts. This boy is so lucky. Sarutobi Asuma lit a cigarette and murmured with envy on his face, can you really do whatever you want if you are handsome? From the ninja school to now, he has not even been able to catch Yuhi Kurenai. Yagayu, on the other hand, can be surrounded by 3 beautiful and lovely girls, and the relationship between the 3 girls is very good. If it were anyone else, Sarutobi Asuma would definitely suspect that their friendship was just fake. But Ino is his student. Sarutobi Asuma already knows her character, and it is clear that she is not pretending. That Yagayu, how on earth did he manage to be so stable? White eyes, open. Hinata Neji, who came down from the stands, suddenly opened his Byakugan. However, he did not make a soft fist stance, nor did he attack Yagayu immediately. Instead, he looked at Yagayu's body. As expected, a few seconds later, Hyuga Neji looked as I expected, and said slowly, when I was in the ninja school, I was already very curious about how you, a civilian without anyone's guidance, could do anything. How can you suppress the heirs of major ninja clans and use B-level water escape in 5th grade? Logically speaking, your identity has already determined your fate, and there is no way to counterattack. But you did the impossible, as if you broke your fate. Now it seems that you didn't break fate, but that you were able to overpower them and continue to be the top student. It was fate. Hinata Neji raised his hand and pointed at Yagayu, and said, your chakra capacity is at least dozens of times that of mine. Except for the yellow hair and the guy carrying the gourd in Sunagakure village, even the chakra of Lord Hokage is present. The amount of carats is incomparable to yours. What? Hearing this, the expressions of the genin and major junin in the stands changed. Then many junin who were good at perception or had special means sensed Yagayu's chakra. Immediately, their eyes were full of horror. What a powerful amount of chakra, at least dozens of times more than mine. He seems to be Yuhi Kurenai's student. What a treasure. Hitaki Kakashi also raised his forehead protector, revealing his 3 Magatama Sharingan eyes and looking at Yagayu Shang, and said in wonder, with such chakra, as well as this hair color and eye color, he can't be. The exclamation sounds of the Jonin could be heard in his ears. Hiruzen Sarutobi held the pipe in his hand and blew out a puff of smoke from his mouth. He stared at Yagayu below through the mist, and his heart was full of surprises. It's so similar. Looking at Yagayu with an unchanging expression, Hyuga Neji continued. It is recorded in the history books that in order to connect the major clan names with the common people, the Senju clan made a large number of clan members give up their surnames and integrate into Konoha. Over the past few decades, Senju has become Konoha, and Konoha has become Senju. Silver hair, red eyes, amazing chakra, your features are almost exactly the same as the second Hokage. If nothing else, you are a descendant of the Thousand Hands clan, and you have awakened the Thousand Hands clan's physique across generations. That's why you have been able to suppress Uchiha Sasuke and even the heirs of the major ninja clans. Hiss. Almost as soon as Hyuga Neji finished speaking, all the Konoha Junin in the stands couldn't help but take a breath of air. All the doubts I had just had suddenly became clear to me, as if I had cleared away the clouds and seen the sun. Silver hair, red eyes, and this chakra, these characteristics are indeed the same as the second generation. A descendant of the Thousand Hands clan. No wonder he will become the chief student of this class, it is such a special class. I don't know what his strength is. Kurenai Yuhi muttered in hindsight. No wonder Yagayu can use such a powerful water escape ninjutsu in a waterless environment. I see. Yagayu-kun. Hinata also looked at Yagayu with her beautiful eyes wide open, feeling an unspeakable surprise in her heart. If Yagayu is really from the Senju clan, then she might really be able to be with Yagayu, and her father and clan elders won't stop her. In the eyes of the Uchiha clan, they and the Senju clan are one of the 2 major families that established Konoha. But in the eyes of those ninjas, Senju is the founder of Konoha, and the Uchiha clan is just a loser, the last ninja to be defeated by Senju Hashirama. So in the eyes of them and the daimyo, Senju is the orthodoxy. This is also the reason why Danzo Shimura did not even have the heart to compete for the position of the 5th Hokage when Tsunade returned to the village. There is no way to compete, and it is impossible to compete. If Yagayu is really a descendant of the Senju clan, then his identity and status will be completely different from before. At that time, he does not need to ask Ino to go to the Hyuga clan, and he can go to the Hyuga clan to find Hinata. In the past, Yagayu went to find Hinata, which was like a toad wanting to eat swan meat, and he did not know his own weight. If Yagayu, a descendant of the Senju clan, went to find Hinata, it would be a perfect match, a golden boy and a jade girl, a perfect match. In this ninja world still ruled by aristocratic masters, it is so double standard and feudal. Your speculation is very interesting, but unfortunately there is no evidence. Yagayu smiled and said, but I am very happy because my idol is the 2nd generation Hokage. After that, Yagayu slowly raised his index and middle fingers and said, as a fellow Konoha ninja, please give me more advice. I firmly believe in my speculation. This is fate. Hyuga Neji also raised his index and middle fingers, and said with a face full of fighting spirit, your defeat is also fate. After making the seal of opposition, Hyuga Neji immediately made a soft fist start. But the next second, he and all the ninjas on the stands all changed their expressions. Yagayu did not put down his index and middle fingers, but quickly changed the hand seal. Single hand seal. Then, Yagayu took a deep breath, his cheeks puffed up, and shouted, water escape. Waterfall technique. Like opening a dam, Yagayu spit out a stream of water towards the ground, and then the moisture in the air gathered, making the water flow rapidly grow, rising like a surge, forming a huge water wall that was taller than the stands, and it was like the hand of the sea god, slapping down towards the tiny Hyuga Neji. Return to heaven. Looking at the falling water waves, Hyuga Neji's eyes widened, and he didn't even have time to be shocked by Yagayu's one-handed seal. He quickly rotated and released chakra from all the acupuncture points in his body, using the Bagua palm return to heaven, which only the main family was qualified to learn, but he learned it with his own talent. A huge hemispherical energy shield immediately appeared. It's not that Hyuga Neji wanted to use the return to heaven defense, but he had to do it. Yagayu's one-handed seal, the speed of the spell was so fast that no one could react at all. And his water escape was too exaggerated. The water waves that were higher than the stands would definitely fill the entire hall when they fell down, and Hyuga Neji had no way to dodge. As soon as the energy shield was formed, the water waves hit the rotating hemisphere heavily. Boom! Accompanied by a loud bang, the amazing water flow spread violently around, immediately filling the entire hall, forcing Moonlight Gale to return to the second floor stands instantly. Just when the water level was about to rise to the stands, the water flow seemed to break through something and rushed to other places on the first floor of the tower. Yagayu gathered chakra on his feet, stood on the surging water, squatted down and inserted his palm into the water flow. A small vortex appeared, and the water flow rotated upward, wrapping around Yagayu's forearm like a snake. As the water level dropped rapidly, the energy shield that was not broken by the waves was still spinning at high speed. But everyone's eyes were not on the energy shield, but on Yagayu's palm. I saw that Yagayu's palm had been holding a water javelin at some point. Looking at this water javelin, the pupils of the senior ninjas on the stands all shrank. Even Sarutobi Hiruzen and Hitaki Kakashi were shocked. Might Guy no longer looked carefree, and was about to take the initiative to help Hyuga Neji admit defeat. Unfortunately, his speed was still a step slower. Whoosh! The harsh sound of breaking through the air resounded throughout the venue. Yagayu jumped high and threw the water javelin in his hand. Like a meteor flash, the high-speed rotating energy shield broke instantly with a click. Hyuga Neji, whose body was spinning, fell to the ground. On the ground next to him, there was a water javelin formed by a stream of water, and the head and body of the javelin were sunk into the ground. The next second, the water javelin exploded. The terrifying suction force, like an invisible big hand, grabbed Hyuga Neji's body and spun it at high speed in the air. The moisture in the air gathered again and turned into a vortex eye. The water flow manifested by the moisture became more and more, and a huge water tornado was formed in the blink of an eye. The amazing suction force made all the ninjas on the stands grab the handrails and gather chakra with their feet to suck the ground to fight against the water tornado. The fifth gate of the 8 gates of Dunjia, Duman, open. Just when the water tornado was about to destroy the hall and the second floor stands, a loud shout suddenly sounded. Then, a figure with green flames all over his body flew out from the stands like an arrow and kicked the water tornado. The terrifying water tornado was immediately defeated by a kick, and the chakra and water flow turned into a violent storm that swept the entire hall and the second floor stands, turning everyone into a drowned rat. The person in this figure was Might Guy. When the rain stopped, Might Guy had already landed with the unconscious Hyuga Neji. The battle is over, and the winner is Yagayu. Moonlight Gale immediately returned to the hall and announced the result of the duel. The whole audience was silent. No matter whether it was a man or a woman, whether it was a genin or a jonin, even Sarutobi Hiruzen, they didn't care that they had become a drowned rat. All of their eyes were focused on Yagayu, who was combing his wet hair with hairspray. Gurgle. I don't know who swallowed a mouthful of saliva, and the sound broke the atmosphere where a pin drop could be heard. The voices with trembling tones sounded one after another. S-level water escape. No mistake, such changes in properties and forms are definitely the ultimate water escape. Water whirlpool, water javelin, water tornado, etc. Isn't this the water escape of the second generation Hokage Tobirama, the hard vortex water blade? He is indeed a descendant of the Senju clan. Quote. The voices of discussion resounded throughout the venue, and the eyes of those Jonin who recognized the hard vortex water blade changed again when they looked at Yagayu. If they were still half believing and half doubting about Hyuga Neji before, now they have believed it for 90%. Silver hair and red eyes, monster-like chakra, terrifying water escape attainments, and the water escape ultimate developed by the second generation Hokage. This is simply the young version of Senju Tobarama. Yagayu ignored the looks of these people, walked up to Might Guy, and smiled. My attack just now avoided his body. He should just be drowning and his chakra is seriously depleted. Let me treat him. Then I'll trouble you, young man. Might Guy, who had already checked Hyuga Neji's physical condition, grinned. He did not blame or dissatisfy Yagayu for almost killing his student. Looking at Yagayu who was treating Hyuga Neji, Sarutobi Hiruzen in the stands, his hand holding the pipe was trembling slightly, and his mood was even more excited, which was indescribable. When Yagayu was in the ninja school, Sarutobi Hiruzen had already paid attention to this civilian orphan. After all, the 60th class of Konoha is really special. Naruto's generation of newborns represents the future of Konoha. When they grow up, it means that the weakened Konoha will be rejuvenated. If they die, it means that the big tree of Konoha will wither completely. Therefore, whoever dares to touch this generation of newborns will violate Sarutobi Hiruzen's bottom line. Even if he has always tolerated Shimura Danzo, Sarutobi Hiruzen will be merciless. At the same time, Sarutobi Hiruzen also attaches great importance to the growth and safety of this generation of newborns. For this reason, he asked Hatake Kakashi to be the guiding Jonin for Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke, asked Sarutobi Asuma to be the guiding Jonin for Ino Shikacho, and asked Konoha's illusion expert to be the guiding Jonin for the 8th team. Even Hyuga Neji and Tenten, who graduated 1 year earlier than Yagayu, he also arranged for them to be the guiding Jonin. Among the 4 guiding Jonin, there are 3 elite Jonin. This shows how much Sarutobi Hiruzen values the 12 little strong men. However, Yagayu was not originally on Sarutobi Hiruzen's list of priorities. It was not until he became the head student, and was re-elected as the head student, and got close to the heirs of the Hyuga clan and the Yamanaka clan that he really caught Sarutobi Hiruzen's eye. Sarutobi Hiruzen also used the crystal telescope technique to observe Yagayu several times. After seeing him teach the 3 Ino girls the skills of climbing trees and treading water, as well as medical ninjutsu, he found that Yagayu's chakra control was very good and he was a malleable talent. After seeing Yagayu show water escape and perception techniques, Sarutobi Hiruzen decided to take a gamble. He wanted to see if Yagayu had yin attribute chakra. So, when he was divided into classes, he chose the latter between Inuzuka Kiba and Yagayu. After getting the answer from Yuhi Kurenai, Sarutobi Hiruzen's expectation for Yagayu was just a new generation of illusion experts in Konoha at first. Unexpectedly, he greatly underestimated this civilian genius. A huge amount of chakra, such water jutsu attainments, and Tobarama's water jutsu, hard whirlpool water blade. This boy, whether he is a descendant of the Senju clan or not, such physical talent and water jutsu talent can cultivate him into a pirated second-generation Hokage. Even if he is just a pirated Tobarama, Yagayu can become a towering tree in Konoha. When Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke grow up, Konoha will return to the era of having 3 ninjas. In this way, he will not be afraid of being embarrassed to meet the previous generation Hokage. Thanks to Yagayu's mercy, Hyuga Neji was not seriously injured. Under Yagayu's treatment, his pale face quickly returned to rosy. However, perhaps because of excessive chakra consumption, Hyuga Neji did not wake up immediately. Moonlight Gale called the medical staff and sent Hyuga Neji to the lounge on a stretcher. And Yagayu returned to the stands. Yagayu, have you perfected that technique? Having just returned to the side of teammate, Aburame Shino asked the first time. Yeah, Yagayu smiled and nodded. It was just perfected some time ago. Just as Yagayu thought, after obtaining the blood limit ice release, he not only obtained wind attribute chakra, but also the difficulty of practicing wind and water escape nature changes from difficult to simple. With the cheating device of shadow clone technique, Yagayu quickly perfected the water escape spiral water tornado, and the real water escape hard vortex water blade. These 2 water escapes are both unmarked water escapes. Looking at Konoha, Yagayu's water escape is already outstanding. When Yagayu learns more, or develops more water escape, he will be the water escape master of Konoha and the ninja world. With his exaggerated chakra, he will definitely be called the man who signed a contract with the sea like Senju Tobarama, commonly known as Sea Escape. At this time, the big screen that was not damaged by the water flow flashed the name again. The 7th round of the duel, Haruno Sakura vs Yamanaka Ino. My opponent is Sakura. Ino looked a little surprised, and inadvertently told the truth. Such a coincidence, it can't be a secret operation. Sakura was also stunned. She didn't expect that among the 21 candidates, 10 rounds and 1 bye, she would just meet Ino. Encouraged by their companions, Sakura and Ino came to the hall together and stood facing each other. Ino, Sakura, come on. At this time, Yagayu's voice resounded throughout the venue, attracting a lot of attention. Just like Ino, Yagayu didn't care about other people's eyes. He held a film camera in his hand and took a picture of Sakura and Ino standing facing each other, while cheering for the two girls. Seeing this scene, many Jonin's mouths twitched slightly. Yuhi Kurenai also covered her forehead slightly, with a helpless look on her face. Yagayu is good in every way, but he is too fickle. Anyone who is not blind can see Hinata's feelings for him. But Yagayu didn't respond at all, and was very close to the other two girls. What's more outrageous is that Hinata is not jealous at all, and her relationship with the two girls is very good, and it's not fake. This is completely different from those girls who almost fought in pursuit of Hitaki Kakashi when they were young. Has the times changed? Sarutobi Asuma's eyes lit up. Is the reason why Yagayu can be so stable because he is thick-skinned? Yagayu, watch my show. Ino grinned and gave a thumbs up to respond to Yagayu. Sakura also smiled sweetly, then raised her index and middle fingers to Ino, and said, Ino, don't show mercy. Then you can't cry if you lose. Ino teased, and also raised her index and middle fingers to form a seal of opposition. Swish, swish, swish. Then, the two women took out 3 shurikens from their ninja tool bags and threw them at each other, performing a basic duel that was not much different from the original, but much higher in quality than the original. In the past few years, the two women have fought countless physical battles, with some winning and some losing. This is the first time for an unruly duel. Knowing that Ino has mastered the family secret technique, Sakura always activates her perception technique and does not give Ino the opportunity to perform the technique. Now Ino, who only masters the heart-turning technique, can't really do anything to Sakura. In the original, she was able to succeed because Sakura did not know the perception technique. But now, she can only compete with Sakura in basics. The two women kept throwing ninja tools at each other, interspersed with smoke bombs, and constantly used the 3-body technique and instant body technique to deceive and dodge, which made Takuto and Yumiko on the stage stunned. The basics taught in the ninja school can be used like this. The senior ninjas did not feel bored, but full of appreciation. It is a kind of talent to have such a foundation at such an age. The chakra control of the two women is very good, and they are definitely good seedlings for practicing medical ninjutsu and sealing techniques. Now it can be confirmed that Yamanaka Ino will definitely be a big figure in the torture department in the future. After the ninja tools were used up, Ino and Sakura started close combat, and their rich combat experience once again made many people shine. After fighting for many rounds, Sakura finally fell down due to exhaustion and was subdued by Ino, who was also panting. The battle is over, and the winner is Yamanaka Ino. Moonlight Gale announced the result and looked at the pocket watch at the same time. This match was definitely the longest one in the elimination round. Whoosh! Yagayu, who had used up several rolls of film to film the two women's fight, also appeared in the hall in an instant, picked up the very embarrassed Sakura and Ino in one hand, and then returned to the stands in an instant to treat them. The elimination round continued. The 8th round of the match, Uzumaki Naruto vs Inuzuka Kiba. Great, my opponent is Kiba, I'm sure to win. What? That's clearly my word. Naruto shouted with joy, as if responding to Takuto just now, which immediately caused dissatisfaction from Inuzuka Kiba. It must be said that Naruto is worthy of being the son of destiny, and his luck is really very good. Because Naruto is really very weak now. He was sealed by the 5 elements, and now he can only use the multiple shadow clones technique. He has exaggerated chakra, but no powerful moves. If his opponent is Aburame Shino, Kankuro and Temari, he will definitely lose. Even if the opponent is Inuzuka Kiba, Naruto will have a very difficult time, and those shadow clones are no different from balloons. In the end, just like the original, Naruto sealed Inuzuka Kiba's sense of smell with a fart and caused him huge magic damage. In the end, he used the shadow clone to copy Uchiha Sasuke's lion combo, and used Naruto combo to defeat Inuzuka Kiba. Naruto was very lucky to defeat Inuzuka Kiba in such a funny way. But no one could have imagined that Naruto would go from needing luck to defeat Inuzuka Kiba to being able to defeat the one-tailed Jinchuriki in a month. If Yagyu hadn't defeated Hyuga Neji, Naruto might have become famous by stepping on the last chief student. This is a cheater. Either he hasn't grown for a long time, or he has soared to the sky and his strength has increased dramatically. With the end of Naruto and Inuzuka Kiba's battle, Yagyu's most anticipated battle has finally arrived. The 9th round of the duel, Gaara vs. Rock Lee. Before Ashura and Indra's reincarnations start cheating, that is, before the end of the Battle of the Valley of the End in the Youth chapter, who is the strongest among the 12? Then, it must be Rock Lee. Just now, Might Guy kicked Yagyu's hard vortex water blade with one foot, using the 5th gate of the 8 gates of ninjutsu, the Domon. When entering the 5th gate, the chakra will turn into green flames, and the speed is so fast that you can even run around in the sky on the air, just like the superhuman skill Moon Step in the world of pirates. The power of using the 5th gate to cast the inner lotus is even more exaggerated than some S-level ninjutsu. Just like he coveted the multiple shadow clones technique, Yagyu was also very covetous of the 8 gates. He couldn't imagine how much of a boost he would get from using the 8 gates with his immortal body. Just like the original novel, Shaoli's initial attack could not break the sand that Gaara could defend automatically. Except for Might Guy's team and Team 7, no one looked down on this genin who could not do ninjutsu, genjutsu, and only taijutsu. However, when Shaoli took off the weight and smashed the floor to raise 2 huge clouds of dust, those who looked down on him were all stunned. Especially Naruto, he was shocked. If Uchiha Sasuke was here, his reaction might not be much better than Naruto. Uchiha Sasuke was easily killed by Shaoli in the comprehensive building. They all regarded Shaoli as one of the biggest opponents in the Chunin exam, and they also thought that this was Shaoli's full strength. Unexpectedly, Shaoli was wearing such a terrifying weighted iron block. When Naruto thought that the opponent could still exert a speed that was difficult to capture even with the double Magatama Sharingan while wearing the weight, he felt a tingling sensation on his scalp. Sure enough, when Shaoli took off the weight and attacked Gaara again, the speed at which he was in front of you 1 second, behind you the next, and above your head the next second, if it weren't for the piercing sound of breaking through the air every time he changed his position, everyone would have thought that Shaoli was not using the teleportation of time and space. Bang! After changing his position several times in a row, Shaoli finally broke through Gaara's sand defense and punched Gaara in the face. The traces of cracks immediately appeared on Gaara's face, shocking Kankuro and Temari in the stands. As the mud fell, Gaara's hideous expression hidden under the sand armor finally appeared. From childhood to adulthood, this was the first time that Gaara's sand armor was broken by someone. The original carelessness and disdain were all transformed into excitement and bloodthirstiness. Great, there are too many people worth killing in this village. So, Gaara began to take action seriously. Under the pursuit of the sand, Shaoli changed his position while looking for an opportunity to kill with one blow. Soon, he found Gaara's flaw, and used the lotus flower. Unfortunately, the one-hit kill he thought he had did not work, but instead made him fall into a weak period. In order to prove himself and at the same time eager to win, Shaoli chose to open the 1st gate of the 8 gates of ninjutsu, offset the side effects of the lotus flower, regained his previous speed, and suppressed Gaara again. And this time, the suppression was the kind that made Gaara unable to fight back. The 3rd gate of the 8 gates of ninjutsu, the gate of life, open. The 4th gate, the gate of injury, open. Shaoli's speed was getting faster and faster, and his strength was getting stronger and stronger. In the hall, only lines of dust were lifted and the floor was broken. In a few blinks, the thick dust almost covered the entire hall. Hatake Kakashi was no longer lazy as before, and looked at Shaoli in the dust with horror. Even the 3 Magatama Sharingan could only see a residual image. At this age, how did he open so many gates? What kind of brutal training did his body go through to make his meridians able to withstand this level of chakra? Yagayu was also in a heavy mood. Before, Yagayu's weaknesses were speed and defense, and he was most afraid of encountering opponents with amazing speed or extremely strong defense. Xiao Li is the one who can currently restrain Yagayu. If Yagayu replaces Gaara, he can only use the mist hidden technique and the red eyes illusion to block Xiao Li's sight, or create a large amount of water flow to form a lake to weaken Xiao Li's speed. Otherwise, his results should be similar to Gaara. At this time, Xiao Li's chakra in his body is in a violent state, which is a property that comes with illusion immunity. Ordinary illusions are completely ineffective against Xiao Li now. When he opens more gates, the chakra becomes more violent, and even some powerful illusions are ineffective against him. That's why, facing Might Guy who opened the 8 gates of Dunjia, Uchiha Madara can only restrain him with the Seeking Truth Jade formed by the fusion of Yin and Yang and the 5 elements, and the Bloodline Network formed by the fusion of Yin and Yang and the 5 elements. Xiao Li's current speed is also one of the reasons why Yagayu is so eager for the 8 gates of Dunjia at this stage. He only needs to open the first gate and unlock the limitations of the brain area to exert 100% of his physical ability, so that both attack and speed can reach the extreme. Moreover, he can still use ninjutsu even if he only opens the first gate. Before getting absolute defense, facing an enemy that he cannot defeat, the higher number of gates of the 8 gates of Dunjia can also allow Yagayu to escape quickly. Except for the space-time ninjutsu, no one can catch up or kill the enemy. Even the dynamic vision of the Sharingan can only see a residual image, and the brains of others are blank and they can't speak at all. Boom! With a loud bang, Gaara's body flew into the air. The figure emitting green energy followed closely behind, running around in the air, kicking Gaara like a football. 5th gate, Duman, open. After continuous kicking and punching, Xiao Li's eyes were left with only the whites, his skin was red, and his veins were bulging. He endured the severe pain from his meridians and bones and opened another gate. The green energy on his body instantly turned into flames. Then, Xiao Li stopped kicking and punching Gaara, and his fist, with the flames formed by the twisted airflow, was about to hit Gaara. Crack! Just when the fist was about to strike, the sound of cracking bones sounded faintly, causing Xiao Li to pause slightly. But Xiao Li still endured the severe pain and punched Gaara's body with one punch and one knee. Rarenka! Boom! As Xiao Li shouted, an afterimage fell on the ground, and the entire hall exploded. Dust mist flooded the entire hall, and the violent air flow was like a hurricane, knocking both Takuto and Yumiko to the ground. Even the weak Sakura and Ino were almost knocked over, but fortunately, Yagayu held them in time. Looking at the dust mist that had not dissipated for a long time, both Genin and Junin had dull expressions on their faces. They originally thought that Yagayu's use of S-level water escape skills was exaggerated enough. Unexpectedly, in addition to Yagayu, the future water escape master, there is someone like Xiao Li in this class. The spectacular scene that shattered the ground was even more shocking than Yagayu's waterspout. After the dust mist dispersed, Gaara and Xiao Li soon appeared. At this time, Gaara was already lying on the ground, with only his hands able to move. This was the first time for Kankuro and Tamari to see Gaara in such an embarrassing state. Not far away, Xiao Li was also slumped on the ground, unable to move. Logically speaking, this situation should be a tie. But at this time, Gaara slowly raised his palm and controlled the sand transformed from the gourd to spread towards Xiao Li like a snake. Seeing this scene, Xiao Li, whose consciousness was already very blurred, wanted to get up and dodge. Unfortunately, he was so weak that he didn't even have the strength to stand up, so he could only squirm backwards like a bug. Kai-sensei, do you want to ruin his ninja career? Yagayu's voice suddenly sounded. I saw Yagayu moving his fingers slightly, and he was emitting blue chakra aura, as if he was about to take action. Hearing this, Metkai, who was still very troubled at first, suddenly became firm in his eyes. He appeared in front of Xiao Li in an instant, waved his hand to disperse the spreading sand, and said to the moonlight blast, "We admit defeat." Teacher Kai, looking at Metkai's back, Xiao Li, whose vision was blurred, had no time to say, "I'm sorry, I disappoint you," and fell to the ground unconscious. You did a great job, Xiao Li, the teacher is proud of you. Metkai picked up the unconscious disciple and spoke softly. Seeing this scene, Lu Sheng couldn't help but smile. Yagayu admires the master-disciple pair of Metkai and Xiaoli very much. As companions, they are definitely the most reliable teammates, and they are even willing to sacrifice themselves to protect their own people at the last moment. Therefore, Yagayu didn't want Xiaoli to be ruined like the original. Although it can be cured later, how can a second-hand one compare to the original one? Xiaoli's future growth rate is so slow, maybe it is affected by this injury. Changing Xiaoli's fate now is just a kind act by Yagayu as a time traveler. Looking at Yagayu with a smile on his face, Hiruzen Sarutobi felt even better. Not only are his physical talents and water-bending talents the same as those of Tobarama-sensei, but his personality is also the same as Hashirama-sama's. As expected of a descendant of the Senju clan, he is truly the perfect successor to the Will of Fire. After Might Guy left with Lee in his arms and Konkuro came to take Gaara away, the big screen that had escaped twice due to the high position of the hanging position flashed the name again. The list of the 10th round, which is the final round of the duel, was soon announced. Temari vs Tenten. Shikamaru, I seem to have a bye. Yeah, congratulations. Well, let Dad reward me when I get back. I suggest not to. Nara Shikamaru complained. In addition to our 10th team, all members of the 8th team have passed. There is a high chance of meeting them in the 3rd exam official game. The 3 of us are not their opponents. We might lose face at that time. Then we should ask Dad for a reward, and then bribe Yagayu and others. Chosi, you guy. Nara Shikamaru was suddenly shocked by the wise and foolish Akamichi Chosi. At this time, the battle between Temari and Tenten has also begun. Looking at Tenten, who used the storage scroll to release a large number of ninja tools and launched a long-range attack on Temari, Yagayu suddenly felt a little pity. This pity is for both Tenten and Might Guy team. If it is 3 vs 3 and they go all out, then Might Guy team is definitely the strongest team in this Chunin exam. Yagayu is not afraid of Gaara, because his water escape and illusion can restrain Gaara. And Lee's speed and 8 gates of ninjutsu can also restrain Yagayu's illusion and most of his ninjutsu. In a team battle, Might Guy team is definitely the second to fight for the first. But unfortunately, this is an individual battle, and Might Guy team has drawn the worst fortune. Hyuga Neji was killed by Yagayu in seconds, Lee was almost destroyed by Gaara, and Tenten met Temari, who is good at wind escape. It is obviously the team with the strongest overall strength, but it is the only one among the 4 teams where all members are eliminated. Such luck is simply a mother of bad luck, opening the door to bad luck. It is so unlucky. The result of the battle was no surprise. Temari only waved her fan 3 times and completely defeated Tenten. Tenten's amazing number of ninja tools and superb throwing skills not only failed to hurt Temari, but she was almost injured by the ninja tools that were blown back. This was also a rare crushing game. With Temari's victory, the elimination round officially ended. After 10 rounds of duels, plus 1 round of byes, there were 11 candidates who advanced to the official 3rd exam, as follows. Uchiha Sasuke, Aburame Shino, Hyuga Hinata, Konkuro, Nara Shikamaru, Yagayu, Yamanaka Ino, Uzumaki Naruto, Gaara, Temari, Akamichi Choji. Among the 11 candidates, 8 were Konoha genin, and the other 3 were Sand Village genin. The official 3rd exam was not only a civil war in Konoha, but also a new generation duel between Konoha and Sand Village. Sarutobi Hiruzen brought down the examiner of the 2nd exam, Mitarashi Anko, who was holding a box in his hand, and asked the candidates to draw lots to decide their opponents for the official match, and told them the start time of the official match. Because Konoha would invite a large number of wealthy people and nobles to watch the official match of the 3rd exam, and there might be many civilians from the Land of Fire and neighboring countries who would come to watch. So this exam requires a long preparation time. At the same time, in order to give the candidates time to improve themselves, the start time of the official match of the 3rd exam was 10:30 a.m. 1 month later. So the candidates began to draw lots. Uchiha Sasuke was still lying on the hospital bed. He was supposed to be the first to draw lots, but he automatically received the last lot. Aburame Shino walked up to Mitarashi Anko and took out a folded note from the box. After opening it, it said no. 9. Hinata drew no. 5. It was Yagayu's turn, and he drew no. 3. When all the candidates had finished drawing lots, the list of opponents for the third exam was quickly listed by Mitarashi Anko. Just like the elimination round, there was one more candidate, so there would be a lucky bye in the official round. The list of opponents is as follows. Number 1 Uzumaki Naruto vs Number 2 Akamichi Choji. Number 3 Yagayu vs Number 4 Nara Shikamaru. Number 5 Hyuga Hinata vs Number 6 Yamanaka Ino. Number 7 Gaara vs Number 8 Uchiha Sasuke. Number 9 Aburame Shino vs Number 10 Kankuro. Buys Tamari. Seeing this list of opponents, Yagayu was stunned. The opponent is actually Yagayu, what a trouble. Nara Shikamaru scratched his head, looking headache. Yagayu was not far from Nara Shikamaru, and happened to hear this sentence, and then looked at Nara Shikamaru with a flash of pity. Meeting me is not miserable, but losing your future wife is really miserable. Suddenly, the corners of Yagayu's mouth twitched slightly, and he couldn't help but utter two words that only Hinata could hear, but didn't understand. Yagayu found that he seemed to have achieved an incredible achievement. He ended Boruto. Hinata didn't like Naruto, Sakura didn't like Uchiha Sasuke, Ino was not related to Sai, and now Nara Shikamaru missed the only chance to make Tamari look at him with new eyes. In other words, in the future of this world, there will be no more Uzumaki Boruto, Uzumaki Himawari, Uchiha Sarada, Nara Shikadai and Yamanaka Inojin. Similarly, there will be no inflammable things. After announcing the official match list and the start time, Sarutobi Hiruzen announced the disbandment and left the center tower with the Jonin team. Yagayu and others also followed their respective Jonins to leave. At this time, it was dusk. After leaving the Death Forest, Yuhi Kurenai fulfilled her promise and took Team 8 to a big meal. Hinata, Shino, see you in a month. After dinner, Team 8 parted at a crossroads. They would not see each other for a long time. After all, the official match was the link related to the family's honor. Hyuga Hiyashi, who was not disappointed with Hinata, and Aburame Shiwei would definitely come to watch it. In order to prevent them from embarrassing the family, this month was the real hellish training. And during this month, Yagayu also had a lot of things to do. Even if he had time to meet, he would not go to Hinata and the three girls. The fighting power shown by Xiao Li made Yagayu feel pressured in a rare way. When reading comics and anime in his previous life, Yagayu was already extremely shocked. Seeing such a scene with his own eyes, Yagayu was even more shocked than when he watched comics and anime. The speed and attack that can hit you in an instant, even if you can sense it and see it with your eyes, but your body can't react, just thinking about it, you will feel extremely scared. Xiao Li's performance explains what it means to be indestructible, only speed can't be broken. What's more terrifying is that there are many strong people in this ninja world who are faster than Xiao Li. There is no rush to make up for the weakness of defense. Yagayu must first increase his speed to the extreme at this stage. In other words, as long as he increases his speed, it doesn't matter if his defense is a little weak. As long as he doesn't encounter a fatal AoE big move, he can basically survive. In the next few days, Yagayu was not at home, and went to a remote waterfall to practice all day. During this period, only Sakura came to Yagayu's house. As for Hinata and Ino, they should have started hellish training. After creating the illusion of going out for training through Sakura, Yagayu suddenly wrote the words, "Out for training, please leave a message if you have anything," on the sign at the door of his house, and quietly left Konoha. It took only more than 2 hours for Yagayu to arrive at Tansho Street in the Land of Fire. Just after entering Tansho Street, when Yagayu turned on the red-eye farsightedness and perspective to find the location of Karen, he suddenly seemed to have discovered something, and his eyebrows raised slightly. A few seconds later, Yagayu's eyes lit up, and he murmured, "Could it be that the ability has been awakened? This time period seems to be really right." So, Yagayu stood still, as if waiting for something, and as if confirming something. Yagayu-kun. After a while, the cheering voice of the girl reached Yagayu's ears. Looking in the direction of the voice, I saw a girl with long red hair running towards Yagayu. Seeing Karen running, Yagayu had confirmed his guess. But when Karen came to him, he pretended to be surprised and asked, "Karen, how did you know I was coming?" Because I sensed your chakra, Yagayu-kun. Karen's cheeks flushed, and she looked at Yagayu laughing like a nympho, and said excitedly and admiringly, Yagayu-kun, your chakra is so strong, as dazzling as the sun. When did you learn the perception technique? I haven't learned the perception technique. In addition to giving me the basic ninjutsu scrolls, the Kusagaku village never teaches us other ninjutsu. Karen took Yagayu to her residence, and Bian said in a slightly bewildered manner, I don't know what happened these days. Whenever I close my eyes, I can sense the chakra nearby, and the range of perception is getting farther and farther. Just now, a very amazing group of chakras suddenly appeared in my perception, and then your characteristics, Yagayu-kun, automatically emerged, as if I had eyes in my heart. In fact, Karen was embarrassed to say that she had been worried that Yagayu would not come to see her these days. She would wander around the entrance of Tansho Street every day, looking forward to seeing Yagayu's figure every day, and then she was afraid that Yagayu would come and not find her, so she would return to her residence every night. Then one day when she woke up, Karen suddenly found that she could see other people's chakra. Even if she closed her eyes, she could see the chakra around her. When she carefully sensed, the characteristics of the owners of these chakras would even appear vaguely. Suddenly awakened perception, is it true? Yagayu looked at Karen with pretended surprise. Yeah, after seeing Karen nod, Yagayu couldn't help but raise his hand and touch her head, praising, amazing, I didn't expect that in addition to physical healing, Karen has also awakened the Kagura Heart Eye. You are indeed a descendant of the Uzumaki clan. Kagura Heart Eye. Karen, who was originally enjoying the head patting, suddenly tilted her head and looked at Yagayu in confusion. Yagayu slowly narrated. Just like the Uchiha clan has the Sharingan, which is good at fire escape and illusion, the Hyuga clan has the Byakugan, which is good at soft fist. This is common sense in the ninja world. The Uzumaki clan was once one of the powerful families in the ninja world. In addition to being the best at sealing techniques, this clan also has several unique abilities. These abilities are physical healing for treatment, Kagura's Heart Eye for perception, and Diamond Seal for sealing. These three unique abilities, even in the Uzumaki clan, only a few geniuses, and they must be descendants of red hair to awaken and use them. After saying this, Yagayu also felt sorry for the fate of Karen's original work. Other Uzumaki clan members may not be able to awaken a unique ability, but Karen awakened all of them on her own. Such a talent, in the Uzumaki clan, is a genius among geniuses. If the Uzumaki clan had not been destroyed, Karen would definitely be the Uzumaki Mito of this era. If she left Konoha and dared not return to Kusagaku in the original story, and met Tsunade instead of Orochimaru when she was wandering, and received Tsunade's full training, learned Tsunade's super powerful punch and medical ninjutsu, and the sealing technique left by Uzumaki Mito, then Karen would be one of the new generation of Sannin. This is also the reason why Yagayu asked Karen to stay temporarily in Tanshoku Street. Tanshoku Street is where Tsunade first appeared, and it is also the place where the Sannin's classmates gathered after many years. Yagayu asked Karen to stay here just to wait for the opportunity. If Karen wants to join Konoha, Tsunade must take her in. Only when Tsunade takes her into Konoha, Shimura Danzo dare not have any idea about Karen. Otherwise, Shimura Danzo will definitely take action against Karen, with a 100% chance. The Uzumaki clan is the best container for Jinchuriki. If the Kongo seal is awakened, it can restrain the tailed beasts just like the Sharingan. As long as he gets Karen, Shimura Danzo dares to target Naruto. Once Jiraiya and Tsunade are in trouble, no one can protect Naruto. I believe Shimura Danzo will definitely take action against Naruto. Therefore, Yagayu must let Karen hold on to Tsunade. As long as Karen holds on to Tsunade, then the version of Karen will really have hope. By then, Yagayu will get a loyal dog who is many times stronger than Haku and Kimimaro. I see. Karen certainly didn't know what Yagayu had planned for her. After hearing Yagayu's words, she nodded in realization, and then her heart was filled with joy and expectation. With this ability, she can help Yagayu. If she can also awaken the ability called Diamond Seal, she will definitely become Yagayu's best tool. When she thought that Yagayu would keep her by his side in the future, fight her when she was injured, and let her be a perception machine, the feeling of being needed and used by the Prince Charming made Karen smile foolishly. Yagyu also didn't know what Karen was thinking. Seeing Karen with a nympho smile on her face again, and not knowing what she was thinking, Yagyu once again used the head-patting killing move on her and said, "There is only one exam left for the Chunin exam, and the exam will start in a month. During this time, I will stay in Tansho Street to practice, and at the same time teach you some ninjutsu." Really? Karen's eyes lit up, and she looked at Yagyu in surprise. Yeah, Yagyu nodded and smiled. If you want to join Konoha, you must have a certain level of strength, so you have to be prepared to endure hardships during this period. Yeah, I will never let you down, Yagyu-kun. Karen nodded repeatedly. This is the moment for her to prove her worth. No matter how hard or tired she is, Karen will grit her teeth and persevere. The girl who walked out of the darkness is now most afraid of not death, but the disappointment and abandonment of the light of salvation that pulled her out of the abyss. Just like Haku to Momochi Zabuza, Kimimaro to Orochimaru. For the next half-month, Yagyu practiced in Tansho Street and taught Karen some ninjutsu. Coincidentally, Karen's chakra attributes are not only the same as Yagyu before graduation, but also the same as Sakura, all of which are yin, yang, water, and earth. That's right, if the new version of Karen is born, before Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke become super shadow level strongmen, she will definitely be a new generation of Sannin who is not inferior to them. Although Sakura is very good, there is still a huge gap compared to Karen who can get close to Otsutsuki. In this half-month, Yagyu not only taught Karen his water escape ninjutsu, but also used transformation techniques to take Karen to various casinos in Tansho Street to make money in order to replenish her body. Karen, whose body is in the growth period and whose chakra is no longer absorbed by others, has disappeared after more than half a month of nourishment. The tooth marks on her arms have disappeared, her skin is not so pale, and her hair is not so dry. The amount of chakra finally meets the identity of the Uzumaki clan. Although the gap is still very large compared to Yagyu and Naruto, in a few years, it will definitely be in the unit of cards. During this period, Yagyu also used guidance as an excuse to separate a shadow clone every day with chakra similar to Karen, or less than Karen, to fight with her in physical combat and in regulated duels. For more than half a month, Yagyu also successfully brushed out the physical healing of the Uzumaki clan and the Kagura Hard Eye from Karen. The two unique abilities are both blue light balls. However, in Yagyu's eyes, these two abilities are just like Sakura's chakra control. They are not red, but they are better than many red-level abilities. Physical healing can not only heal others, but also heal oneself. This is simply a weakened version of the unmarked healing. Not to mention the Kagura Hard Eye, which is one of the strongest perceptions in the ninja world, with a perception range of tens of kilometers. Counting the white eyes and red eyes, Yagyu already has 3 perception techniques. Perspective, farsightedness and super farsightedness are all available. In terms of perception, Yagyu is definitely one of the strongest in the ninja world now. August 6, 60th year of Konoha, 3 p.m. Karen, I'm going back first. At the door of a room in an apartment, Yagyu said goodbye to Karen. After I leave, don't neglect your training. Wait a few days and I'll come to pick you up. Yeah, be careful on the way, Yagyu-kun. Karen nodded obediently. After performing the head-patting kill on Karen and rubbing the girl's smooth red hair, Yagyu smiled and disappeared in an instant. This time, Yagyu returned to Konoha from Tansho Street in less than 2 hours. After arriving home, Yagyu also saw Sakura's message on the sign at the door of his house. It turned out that after the incident in the Forest of Death, Sakura realized her weakness and wanted to ask Hitaki Kakashi to teach her ninjutsu, and then was recommended by Hitaki Kakashi to intern at Konoha Hospital. As long as he gets the approval there, Hitaki Kakashi will apply for advanced medical ninjutsu for Sakura, as well as training scrolls for offensive medical ninjutsu. During this period, Sakura has been an intern at Konoha Hospital, helping those medical ninjas. Seeing these messages, Yagyu was happy for Sakura, but he couldn't help shaking his head. He thought of Naruto. If nothing unexpected happened, Naruto must have pestered Hitaki Kakashi to teach him ninjutsu a month ago, but was pushed by Hitaki Kakashi to a special jonin, that is, Konohamaru's teacher Ebisu. Because Hitaki Kakashi didn't have time to teach Naruto, he wanted to teach Uchiha Sasuke the physical skills he copied from Shaoli with his Sharingan, the skills of stimulating cells with lightning chakra to increase speed, and his own lightning chakra Chidori during this period. Pushing another disciple to a special jhanan at will, not caring that the other party hates his disciple, he is fully teaching another disciple. Yes, Hitaki Kakashi is so partial. Looking at the original youth chapter in Shippuden, Hitaki Kakashi seems to have taught Naruto only two things. One is to climb trees with feet, and the other is to help Naruto develop wind escape Rasenshuriken with Yamato, or the semi-finished one. Yagyu really can't figure it out. Hitaki Kakashi has clearly tested Naruto's chakra attributes, and he has copied thousands of ninjutsu. Even if Naruto can't learn his Chidori, he won't not teach him even wind escape, right? If Naruto has nothing to do with him and doesn't get his love, that's fine. But Hitaki Kakashi is a disciple of Minato Namikaze, and he also knows that Naruto is his teacher's son. When Naruto was in the most difficult time, he didn't help, although he was also in the black stage at that time. But when Naruto needed him, he just perfunctorily. This is the biggest black spot of Hitaki Kakashi. Yagyu even speculated with malice, wouldn't he blame the fastest man in the ninja world in his heart like Uchiha Obito, always being late at the critical moment? It is also because of this black spot that Hitaki Kakashi, the teacher with the most scenes, will never be as important as Jiraiya, and Yumino Iruka, who has the least scenes. Fortunately, Jiraiya has returned to the village during this period, otherwise Naruto, who was sealed by the 5 elements, might not even be able to beat Akimichi Choji in the official game. After all, the meat bomb tank and the multiplication technique are still quite powerful. Thinking of his plan, Yagyu is full of expectations for tomorrow. The era of Sarutobi Hiruzen is about to end. From now on, it will be Tsunade's era, and it will also be Yagyu's stage. The next day, 10 a.m. In the bathroom, Yagyu is tidying up his appearance. He still wears the same black windbreaker, white shirt, black trousers and shoes, and then puts on gloves with iron plates and a ninja bag. After putting on the beauty contact lenses, Yagyu takes out a black cloak and a white mask from the space backpack. Then, Yagyu forms a seal with one hand, shadow clone technique. With a bang, white smoke fills the entire bathroom. Yagyu walks out of the bathroom, then leaves home and heads straight for the square that stands in the center of Konoha and covers an astonishing area. On the way, Yagyu sees a large number of carriages and many unfamiliar faces, all of whom are rushing to the circular square. In the sky, there are colorful fireworks blooming. After a while, Yagyu comes to the outside of the square. After verifying his identity at the contestant entrance, Yagyu walks in. At this time, Hinata and Ino had already arrived. Yagyu, this way. Seeing Yagyu coming, Ino immediately waved and shouted at him. Before Yagyu raised his hand to respond, he felt a chill on his back. Such a strong murderous aura. Glancing at the audience from the corner of his eye, Yagyu said inwardly. This murderous aura was not an illusion, but the Yin-Dan chakra transmitted the emotion to Yagyu. Yagyu knew without guessing that the caster was Ino's father, the pig of this generation of Ino Shikacho, Yamanaka Inoichi. Unlike the original work, all members of Team 10 passed the elimination round, and Ino Shikacho would definitely be there to support their children. Thinking that he might be stared at by the 2 ninja clan leaders, Yagyu couldn't help but straighten his face. He didn't respond to Ino enthusiastically, but just nodded to Ino, and then walked to the side of Nara Shikamaru. As the pressure high, Nara Shikamaru's teasing voice reached Yagyu's ears. Yagyu glanced at Nara Shikamaru, and said with a slight smile, I don't know if I'm under a lot of pressure, but you will be under a lot of pressure later. Hey, you're not so stingy, are you? Nara Shikamaru's smile froze for a moment, and he quickly said, my dad is watching in the audience. When the game starts, don't let me lose too badly. It's too late. My heart is as small as a needle hole. Prepare to change from a deer to a pig. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.